have a concept. You have a great concept. You guys are doing it, man. And it's an honor for me to just be, you know, a small rock, man, in your mountain. I'm going to pop a top in your honor.
Mr. Doc Walker blessed us with his presence and knowledge.
We want to welcome in our next special guest, Haley Skarupa. She's a three-time world champion in women's ice hockey and most recently won Olympic gold with Team USA.
The Cap Stadium Series is definitely my favorite, obviously. I'm a huge Caps fan, I always have been, and to be there at that game with my teammates and for us to bring, you know, our gold medals to there and share it with everyone in this area was really, really special for me, and just the support and it's been tremendous from everyone in this area, and you could feel that there at that game.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network.
And welcome to episode 362 of Sports on the Hill podcast. We are sorry for the technical delays early on in the stream, but we are live now on Twitch, Facebook, Kick, and on YouTube. And so thank you for everyone for tuning in on all of those platforms. We are joined by the likes of the Power Play Point podcast with Gil and Anna. So I'm going to let Gil give his hello and also explanation of what was on the Power Play Point podcast, and then we'll bring in Anna after that.
Yes, so our latest episode is out now, recorded yesterday. I will apologize beforehand. We were a bit distracted, sort of, by the day before and the football action from the day before and going on. So, yeah, it'll be that. We go over the three games, of course. A bit of bad news, quite a bit of bad news, especially if you're a Hershey Bears fan. Mention that a bit. But fairly quick episode. Most of the games were low event, so that helps things go by fairly quick here. Yeah, that's what you can look forward to. And yes, I'd be remiss if I did not mention that the Mermaid has a homework assignment. If you want to know what that is, please do catch this episode.
100%.
Sounds good. Anna, it's good to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Robbie. Thank you. Sorry, I'm the reason for the.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I am not upset at all. And I'm just happy that we're able to figure it out and make it work.
Definitely.
We have a very exciting 3-0 Capitals week to talk about. A quick rundown of the podcast. We're going to do a quick hockey talk tonight, about 30 minutes or so. And we're going to go over those three games where we only allowed one goal across three games. So that was pretty impressive. And then we will talk about the big Commanders victory over the number one seeded Lions, pole vaulting them into the NFC Championship, which is
fantastic.
Yeah, so incredible and unexpected. And you know, if people tuned in last week, Carol called this. He said we're gonna win, and flipped it up, and I have a clip of that on my Twitch channel as well. And we'll let him gloat in the 10 o'clock hour as well. So that'll be in about 40 minutes, 35 minutes or so. And we're also going to have the return of Hurt and Hurt from Hurt's house. And he also predicted we have a great season. So we want him to come on and celebrate with us as well. We'll have DC's People's Champ join us in that hour, and then around 10:30 or about an hour from now in the audio podcast, we're going to have the return of Sith, who's actually in chat on Twitch. So welcome in over there. So we got Dan, the Sith Lord, as well, and yeah, so that'll be fun. We'll have to get his thoughts, and then we'll talk about wrestling a little bit. We've got a live game going on not a game, but a match going on Netflix right now. So we will talk about that in addition. And then we're also got the NCAA championship game going on right now between Notre Dame and Ohio State. So that's always an interesting matchup. So we'll be giving updates through that in the football hour and as well at the very end. We're also raising money for fire relief. So it's in the description, I believe, for everybody. Uh, I'm hoping that it came through on the share posts on Facebook and on YouTube and
I'll
on
double
Kick.
check.
And then we also have a command if you're live on Facebook, command fire, and it will give you a link over there. And if anybody highlights a message and donates something, I will do something special, the secret surprise. And basically you're gonna get me to do a workout live on air. So if you give $5, I'll do some jumping jacks. $10, do some push-ups. And
I
we'll do
love
it
it.
live on air. And if you give more, I might even do something crazier. So I'm not putting the incentives on the screen, so you had to have been listening right now. I will mention a little bit later it as well. So again, highlight the message and let me know that you're doing it because I'm doing a podcast with a lot going on. So if I miss it, I am sorry, but I will make it up in the future. We also have merch that we designed on Saturday. Gil came on and did a Saturday show with us where we celebrated the victory for the Commanders and the Capitals. And then right after he left, me and Ken, DC's People's Champ, designed some merch. Merch NFC will get you to the new merch design, and you can get a shirt and sweatshirt, all that. And all of it is at the cheapest merchandise prices I can offer. So you can actually get the shirt for $20, which is cheaper
Nice.
than other shirts. I get a hoodie for I think it was like 35, which is $10 cheaper for that, and get stickers or mug as well. So it's definitely a major discount to try to thank everyone for being supportive of the show, but also if they want to celebrate and get a graphic for us. With that, I am going to share my screen and we're going to get into some hockey talk. Let me see here. The first one was a Duhame goal. So let me see if I can find that one. And why is this not? Of course, it worked when I tested it, but then now that we're live, there we go. It was not working.
Nice.
So here we go. First period, 1-0 in this one. Gil, take it away from there.
Okay, so starting to play, Frank has it behind, throws it to the point where Chikrin's waiting, hands it off to Dowd. He hands it back off to Chikrin, who charges the circle, and the shot actually hits the back of Duhame's skate that goes in. That's where that's why it is credited to Duhame. But great offensive play here on the left wing side, and there it goes in, and it's a duck hunt, and in honor of Caps K9. There's a duck hunt. MR duck.
There you
Doggy's
go.
got a duck. With a
I
1-0 lead.
Yes, right. The old Mighty Ducks, if you will. Yeah, I grew up loving that movie, and so that one was a big part of my heart. So it's hard to root against the Ducks, just because of that childhood nostalgia.
Right.
But it was funny. I was reading some quote of one of the guys that was a hockey player that was in that movie for like 3 minutes. How more people recognized him from the movie than his 15-year NHL career. And so he's a really good movie, or I played really bad in the NHL. So I love that. So yeah, it's a good start to this game. Anna, what are your thoughts on this goal?
No, I just absolutely love seeing Duhame on the scoreboard. I mean, that's just amazing. And Chikrin and Dowd, you can't go wrong. I am absolutely loving number 6. Just everything about his game, his speed, his just everything, his skill. It's just got it down, and Duhame. And so this is a good duck hunt goal. I like it.
Yep. So I think that the halftime score right now is 21-7 in that Ohio State Notre Dame game. I was stalling because it was a commercial break and I didn't remember the score. But I did want to give people an update on that. So Notre Dame took a 7-0 lead after the first, and Ohio State put up 3 touchdowns in that second quarter there. So just a little scoring update in that one, so we don't have any Monday Night Football to talk about. In this one, we got a John Carlson goal, and Gil, take it from there.
Okay, so on this one, looks like Carlson actually starts the play. Where have I said that before? And it was so he passes it off to Protus. It was a muffed pass to to Ovi that never quite got there. Carlson picks up the garbage and puts it away. Thankfully, unlike previous goal scoring attempts by Carlson, this one was not called back by the league. And as you can see, MR2 ducks because it's the second goal.
I love it. I love it. I did used to love that game. People don't get the NES reference for Duck Hunt. What a fun game. You actually, do you know this, skill that you can play as Duck Hunt Dog in Smash Brothers? I thought that's kind of interesting.
I kind of figured they did something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You actually play them as a combo. It's an interesting combo. Yeah, big goal for John Carlson. I'm happy they didn't take this one away.
Yeah.
And Anna, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
No, I'm so glad they didn't take it away, and it was good to see 74 scoring. I've always been a big John Carlson fan, and so even though it was unassisted, assisted, whatever, I'm glad to see it for 74, and congrats on number 4 for him.
Yes, and Ovechkin, in the paint right here, which is what we've been talking about. That is a key to victory and a key to success for goals. And I like it that he's stalking there, because then if there's a juicy rebound or something, he's right there to clean it up, which is it's kind of a twofer. It takes away the eyes. Also, 36 has got to pay attention to where 8 is. He can't be watching what 74 is doing with the puck because he's so close to him. Like, how could he miss it? So he's a brilliant decoy, if you will.
Well played.
Yeah. All right, and this one is in the second period. And we got Ethan Frank, who's having a tremendous week. I think we kind of glossed over this a little bit too much last week, but he had scored a point in his first 2 games and now make it 3. Not many NHL players have scored 3 goals with the first time when they've been called up into the NHL, and not many Capitals players have ever scored 3 points in 3 consecutive games. So, Gil, pretty impressive move here. Why don't you break it down for us?
Excellent. Okay, so I don't know how else to describe it, but you've heard of Doo-Doo Brown. This is Doo-Doo Frank. So it starts with Duhaime getting it over to Dubois, who gets it over to Frank, and he puts it in the net. And when you put it in the net, and you're red hot like Frank is, you put that bleep on everything. And of course, you got to Frank it up. When you're Ethan Frank, there's the man himself. Love how he's sparkled the third line, and hope he stays and just keeps getting better.
Yeah, he seemed to have fit in better than Miro, at least so quickly. I do like what Miro brings to the team, but the speed of Ethan Frank is definitely undeniable. Anna, what are some of your thoughts on his
I don't know if I can support the whole doo-doo thing, but that's a whole other issue. But I am absolutely loving Frank's energy. He's coming on, he's got that infectious vibe about him. He's excited, he's almost starstruck, which is kind of cool to see, and it's cute. But I think that he's coming out and he's given 110%, and that's exactly what you want to see, and he has proven it, and I just think it's so fantastic. So good for him. I hope to see him a lot, in the upcoming games. There's something about his energy that's just fantastic to see, and I think it's interesting when they say, like, oh my gosh, when I was a kid, I used to, admire Ovechkin, and now I'm playing with them. I'm like, my God, all of us feel old for that, but that's okay, because it's a good balance between your vets and your newbies, and the balance that and appreciation and admiration between the players. So good for Ethan Frank. You know what? I couldn't be happier for the kid.
Yeah, for sure. All right. For timing, I think we're going to move on to the one and only goal in the second game. We'll discuss a little bit about it. This is the potential, and there's not many games that ever go to this, to have both goalies have a shutout. So one people that might not realize this, if both goalies go to the shootout without a goal scored, it's a shutout for both goaltenders. It's the only way that can happen. Which I didn't even know that was possible.
Oh,
So you're a shutout only, and you can only be a shutout if there's one goaltender. Let's say somebody goes for 10 minutes, gets hurt, and another goaltender comes in and plays the next 50 minutes. It's not a shutout, which I didn't
okay.
realize.
I didn't know
The only
that.
way that a goalie can earn a shutout is to go the complete game before a shootout without allowing a goal. But that can happen for multiple goaltenders if it's a 0-0 game going to a shootout. A shootout. Anyway, it's a lot. But and when I heard about that, I was almost rooting for it because I was like, that's a really rare situation, right? But I'm
Yeah.
happy Ovi scored. Don't get me wrong. But I just thought that was an interesting statistic that I found out while I was doing some research on this game, looking at it 0-0 going into overtime. But back and forth, crazy overtime, opportunities for both teams, including Ottawa doing something really smart, which was a lot of zone time, to the point where some of our Capitals were on there for almost 2 minutes out there. And luckily, they were able to finally get free and a line change. And in doing so, I think this actually shows that whole thing, right? Because you don't even see Ovi yet. So these guys are dog tired, right? So they're trying to get off as quickly as possible. Was that maybe no?
So it's the road. So you got to remember this was a road game for the Caps. So they're the white dots. They're the white
Right, yeah.
circles with the red numbers. So in this play, you see Sandin to Ovi. Yeah, and it was as you can see, it was just the change that was made. The Senators, it kind of backfired on them. It was the change that was made afterwards. You can see if you pause it after the goal here, like you said. Um,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, they did catch him, but it was Sandin who recovers here. Basically, gets out with Ovi, who was absolutely flying on this play, and it was kind of a knuckle puck shot. I don't know if he intended to do it, but obviously he's all the goals you need and all the backup you need right there with the #1 star of the week, Logan Thompson. There you go.
How could he not be 3-0 with only one goal allowed? It's just
Exactly.
it'd be tough for anyone to, unless someone's getting a hat trick every night. It's like that's pretty much the most impressive thing that you can do. And so to go to the Ovechkin thing, he did shoot this puck on. So it was a rolling puck, and it
Yeah.
came to him rolling, and he shot it while it was rolling, and it rolled up and over the goaltender. And there's literally nothing you can do because if it hits you, it's just going to have that rolling action coming up and over you because it's got so much force. The only way you can stop it is if somehow you catch it, right? And so unless it's that, like you're kind of screwed. And he's one of the best at hitting a puck that's not flat, which is really difficult. It's hard for us to express it, but it's very difficult to do to have any sort of accuracy with it. But if you do, they can be very dangerous, and it turns into what Gil's talking about, a knuckle puck, where it's just doing these wild things where it's just gonna bounce off the body in a very odd way. But Anna, what are some of your thoughts on this one?
Honestly, I did not see this game, but to wake up and see that it was an Ovechkin overtime goal is fantastic. And like Gil and I said in our podcast, I could not be happier for LT. I really, I'm not picking goalies. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm just happy for Logan Thompson and what he's done. And of course, we're all counting down with Ovi.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Oh,
just an overtime goal; it was an Ovi time goal.
right.
No.
Talking about big O, Ohio State just scored a touchdown. So now they're up 28-7. So this is
Yeah, running away with that.
yeah, not getting closer for sure. Yeah, big time win. And it continues the back-to-back shutouts. And to the point where he actually ends up getting almost 200 minutes of shutout hockey before getting the next goal scored on him. And luckily we
Crazy.
scored first in the next game. We got Jacob, who's been just tremendous for us. Go, I'll
On
let
fire.
you start this one off.
Somebody else who's deserving of some praise here. So Chikrin, as you can see, is coming on after a change here. There's a scrum in the corner. Dowd and Protas win it, get it back to the point. Chikrin just blasts it, and of course it goes in. Please give this man a new contract.
Yeah, I feel bad. You did so much work on the bottom parts of these, and when that I actually have it cut off the very bottom, the edge visualizer.
It's
And so
fine.
it's not.
It's fine. As long all I care about is this and of course the action, showing
Right.
the action.
There you go. But anyway, it says a new contract if people can't see it live at home.
Definitely.
I can see it. I don't know.
Yeah, you
I
can.
could see it
So I
too.
crop off the bottom third when these go to the other screen. But anyway, it's things that Gil doesn't know in the back end. But
I'm
that's
just
all
the
fine.
director. You're the producer.
I know.
So what am I?
So
Talent.
exactly. Anna, what was your thoughts on
I
this?
I can't say enough about number 6. I love Jacob Chikrin, and I think it's amazing. And I think that between him and Protus, just become my favorites this year. Always Tommy, like please. But so happy to see the consistency with this player and the skill and everything. So yeah, and Kill and I again, this is the one that we talked about. We're going back between NHL and NFL yesterday, between the two. So there are some things I did miss, but I did see this goal.
Yeah.
Good way to start the game.
I fixed it, by the way, so now we can see this.
I could see it.
Yeah, I know you could. It was just doesn't get sent correctly to
Okay, gotcha.
than everyone else sees. But anyway, you and I see something different than I won't get too far into it. Big time goal though, obviously to go up 1-0 over our arch rivals, the Penguins. I know the Penguins have struggled at times this year, but they've played really well. And in fact, I think I heard that they have one of the best power plays over the last month or two. So we gave them a couple of chances on the power play, and so I'm happy that our penalty kill was up to the task, which has also been fabulous this year. In the second period, we were able to double up our goals. Protas is getting close to 20 goals here. His
Yeah.
name. Let's break this one down, Gil.
Already his career best. So Protas actually starts the play here. Actually, it's Dubois. He loses it in the corner. They turn it over. McMichael gets it tic-tac-toe to McMichael, Dubois, and back to Protas. And he must break you if you're the Penguins.
Yeah.
So let's watch it again real quick. Dubois gets it back in the corner or chases it, forces the turnover. McMichael gets it behind the net, back to Dubois, tic-tac-toe to Protas again with that slot shot, which is kind of his wheelhouse, been his wheelhouse this season.
Yeah.
Wait, did you actually have a built-in replay now in this? Gil's getting fancy with the editing. But yes, I must break you. I like it. So big time goal. All right, Anna, what are some of your thoughts on
Love it. Like I said, I absolutely am a huge fan of Protus, and I'm glad to see that he's using his size, he's using his skills, and he is out there doing kick-ass things on the rink. So I love it, and I think that I don't know. I always love, when you hear the constant, Chikrin, Protas, McMichael, Dubois, Duhaime. I'm loving, the consistency of the names. So it's really great.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into the next goal. This one happened in the third period, I want to say.
Looks like late in the third.
Yeah.
Caps get a late.
Yeah,
Caps get a late power play. This is the one that they get one more after this, but this is the one that pretty much iced it.
Yep.
So Dubois wins the face-off. Gets it over to McMichael on the half boards. They charge the net in tandem. Protas is already setting the screen, and if you could see the if you could see it in real time in the actual footage, Dubois, this is an amazing shot. He puts it over the goalie's shoulder, Engblom's shoulder, with very little space. So it was a perfect, delicate shot that goes in. He had very little space and time, but he just tucked it into that corner perfectly.
So it's just the two of them, right? So he starts the play, gets it over to McMichael. McMichael gets it back to him, and he scores.
Yeah, because Protas never touches it. He's just setting
Yeah.
the screen, and the 2D are on the point to keep it in. So yeah, it's just him and McMichael.
It's a great two-man play, and
Fantastic.
Protas does a great job drawing two defenders to him right down here. If you look at it, he sucks both of these guys in. So what's great is also it's everybody's here. So somehow if they miss it, they can kick it out to either of those guys. There's two, both point guys are wide open. You know,
Yeah, and you
after
got to
that.
love the end result here.
That's pretty great. And then to add
And
a little bit to the end here, a little salt for that wound. Gil, why don't you break this one down?
yeah, so this is the empty net goal, and we made mention of this, Anna and I, on our broadcast. But the 5-on-6 crew, mainly cored by Tom Wilson and Nick Dowd. So they get basically they recover the puck. It's 2-on-1. Nick Dowd and Duhaime kind of battle on the sideboards here. Dowd recovers and pushes it off to Duhaime, who puts enough mustard on it. Okay, sorry. Tom touches it first, then gets it Duhaime, who forces it into the net to pretty much ice it from there. And then, yes, of course.
Everyone's
I don't know how. I don't have to explain or describe. I think that speaks for itself.
It's called a dead win. If people don't know their memes on Capitals Reddit and stuff like that. And just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've had a lot of people. You know, I got Mom Boss Lady in chat. We got DC's People's Champ. We got Adrian now, Ace Kaltor. And so just thank you everyone for being a part of this chat. And I really appreciate everyone for being here and getting to celebrate this big victory Monday. Again, going 3-0 for the Capitals. But Anna, give your thoughts on those goals, and then I'm going to take a quick look at the week ahead.
Yeah, no, I will say I felt the NFL and kind of flipped back and forth, but it was very much a happy dance going on here to see any kind of win against the Penguins. But to see who scored and who assisted was fantastic. So it was a great win. This meme, it just sums it up
Exactly. I'm just gonna leave it there.
perfectly. And then of course, like now we're going into a different kind of week, a travel week, and things may be a little bit different, but I think overall it was a fantastic Caps week.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ohio State's driving again, and they have an opportunity to put more points on the board. They are now in the red zone once again with 9-10 left in the third. So this is becoming a bit of a blowout here. It's an interesting matchup. It's between, for people that don't know or haven't been following college football, it's a battle between the number 7 and the number 8 seeded teams in the nation, where without this new format where so many teams make the playoffs, these two teams don't even make the top 4 in the old format or the top 2 in like the really older format, right? So it's already showing dividends that more March Madness style, that maybe not the top teams are the winners, that you have to kind of play.
Right. Do you have a team you're pulling for?
I wanted to root for Ohio State. I said last week on the show that if the Commanders won, I'd root for Ohio State just because of Scary Terry. Terry McLaurin went to Ohio State, and so that's what he wanted. And my theory is if he can produce an NFC Championship appearance, that's the least I can do for him is root for his alma mater. So
There you go.
Yeah, that is the extent in which I'm rooting. And I know some other people that are Ohio State fans. I don't usually go out of my way to root for them, but because of Scary Terry, they're in this week. So I had two bets last week. I said if they win, I would root for Ohio State this week, and I would make merch. And so I made the merch on that Saturday show, and now through on this one. So go Buckeyes.
There you go.
Today, we've got or sorry, tomorrow's game is going to be for the Caps. Are going to be at Edmonton at 9 o'clock. This is where it gets tough for us East Coasters. Because then on Thursday we're at Seattle at 10, and then on Saturday we're at Vancouver at 10, and then the following week we're at Calgary on Tuesday at 9. So we'll recap Edmonton, Seattle, Vancouver next week. I know Anna won't be here, but I'll try to get C4 back on that one, or Janaea, for sure. But Anna, your thoughts on the week that was, only allowing one goal, and the week upcoming?
Oh my gosh, I feel like the week that was fantastic, and I hope they continue on this winning wave. I hope it continues, but I'm going to just be I don't know, a realist. I'm gonna say two out of 3 games I think they can win or will win.
If you were to guess which two, what's your
Oh
gut?
gosh.
Edmonton, Seattle, Vancouver.
I'm gonna say Edmonton and Vancouver. For some reason, those seem to be the two that I'm going to choose, and I think it will be interesting to see how healthy Lindgren is when he comes back, because again, I'm not, choosing between either goalie. I think they're both fantastic, but I think when you come back from an injury, you always want to be sure that you give a little bit grace. So I'd like to see, Lindgren in, but I think they're going to play Thompson at least 2 of the 3. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling, yeah.
Here's my gut feeling.
What's that?
I wouldn't necessarily bring Charlie back so soon. I would say
But he's ready though. He could have played against the Pens.
Yeah, I'm kind of over the. It's funny because a week ago when people were saying we should be playing one more than the other, now when he comes back, I was like, no, that's hogwash. You don't want to wear them out, whatever. I'm
Right.
kind of a different mindset. Until he allows more than one goal in a game, the crease is his. Right? I just he's such a hot hand right now.
Yeah.
And I say
But of the 3 games, who do you put in?
I'd say
Thompson
you
all
keep it
3?
going. There's a day off between each one of these. You
Okay.
could go. If there was a back-to-back, I'd feel very differently. There isn't. So my theory is you play him in the first one. If he doesn't allow more than one goal in the Edmonton game, you keep going until they either lose or he allows more than one goal.
I think they're gonna play Thompson, Lindgren, Thompson.
Possibly. I mean, I can see that
Possibly.
too.
I don't know. I mean, it's I
Yeah,
oh I
what
hate
what say ye? What are you where are you at?
I
yeah.
would like to see, well, if things continue on the trajectory they're on now, Thompson will be the playoff goalie, more or less.
Yeah.
That being said, of the 3 right now, Edmonton is the biggest threat in the playoffs of those 3. So I would like to see Thompson in net against Edmonton just to see how they do. I would not mind if Charlie takes the last 2 starts rather in this week, given that it's such a long trip. This thing goes all the way through next week.
Right.
It's a long road trip, so
Right.
I think
Well, I would say
Logan's kind of due for some rest too.
right. Well, I also know that in the playoffs you do play every other day, so that's why I want him to get some used to that
Right.
situation too, right? So, and this is a good time to do it where you're not playing against other Eastern Conference teams where you don't need the points in the same way, versus when they're playing against the East, which is why I say those first 3 games you go the way that I was talking about, and then Charlie gets to start at Calgary either way because there's 2 days off between those two, and then But you could also just give him the Vancouver one either way, knowing that he'd have some extra time off before Calgary. So I definitely think that they split them between the Vancouver and the Calgary. It's just I could see you keeping the hot hand for Seattle as well. In my mind, but we'll see. We'll see what the coaches end up doing. Should be an interesting week. I'm impressed, Anna. So you were watching more of the Commanders game than the Capitals game. It sounds like.
I was, and
We're rubbing off on you. I'm proud.
I told Gil yesterday that my Niners are out, but I will say for you, for Carol, for Josh Kirby, for who do we say, Kevin Sinclair. All the other, I am rooting for you guys. Like I think it's fantastic, and having lived here for 20 years now, definitely more of a Commanders fan. Sorry, Gil, than a Ravens fan.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I go over my history, not to drag this out, but I go over my history a little bit. So yeah, people know where I'm coming from. So
yeah, no, and the loyalty's there, but I feel like we've through this podcast, we have been through the ups and downs of the NFL with all of our teams. So I just think, fuck yeah, like, let's go Commanders. I absolutely love it. So yes, so I watch them, I rooted for them, and even Gil and I said yesterday, what's kind of become between the Caps and the Pens isn't what it used to be. I think, some of the players are kind of aging, and the rivalry is not as hot as it used to be. Of course, there's, maybe it's more so with Carolina or something else, but I found myself, I was, I would say 90% NFL versus NHL.
I mean, it's a bigger game. I mean, no offense to a middle of the season NHL
Yeah.
game. There are 82 of them where it's not often.
Exactly. And it was a fantastic game.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a good
my
game.
God, it was great.
Yeah, Sith is saying we are 5.5-point underdogs against Philly. I like those odds. I also want to welcome in some of the people that are joining us on Facebook. Eric was saying hello to all of us, and he was and Sith is saying that he's going with OSU, but likes both teams, and he thought that Eric thought that we were giving an interesting story. He said 2 out of 3 is good enough for me. And he also said the Commanders are the most entertaining team in sports at the moment, which goes to what Anna was talking about, which is true. Which did not expect going into the season. So, Eric says, I always hate those flightless birds. I do too. It's funny because this week I was just happy to be there, right? I had no expectations we'd beat the number 1 seed. But now that we've beaten the number 1 seed and we're playing Philly, I really want to win the game, right? Like it's like saying you're meeting the Penguins in the playoffs, but you're like, it's just happy to be there. It's not gonna happen, right? It's it's a different thing when it's a rival.
Still playing with house money.
Right.
Exactly.
And the worry is not there as much as it would be in other years, but the anger and frustration and the angst of beating a division rival will always be there, right? And also already so many people talking trash to me in text messages, including a lot of family and who lives up in Philadelphia. And so I'm like, wow, they're starting it early. There was like literally the second that they won their game yesterday, they were already being like, well, it's time, right? And so it's just really kind of funny.
That's great. That's
I'm
awesome.
making no bones about an expectation that we're going to beat them, but we already have this year, so it's
Right.
possible.
Well, that's the best way to go into it is you know what, you're expected to be the underdog, and yet you have
I still think I'll be pretty mad if we lose to them, though. You know what I mean? Like it'll be a
of
different
course.
situation. Like if we had lost to the Lions, that would have been sad, right? Because the season's over. It's always a bummer. But I think I would definitely be a lot more mad losing to Philly. Because who they are.
Understand.
So
But we'll be like this household is all we're rooting for you guys. Like I said, I told my husband, he's like, he's not interested in anything with sports, and I'm like, no, listen, like Robbie, Carol, like we've been, this is who we're pulling for and whatever. So he's like, okay, I got it. Yeah, I got got it. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I very much appreciate that because I've always pulled for the 49ers for you.
Yes.
It's just such a weird situation with I really expected the Ravens to make it to the AFC Championship game, and I really didn't expect the Commanders to even make the playoffs. And it just expectations are an interesting thing, right? So when you got them, it's hard. Like I feel, I'm happy we won, but I feel for Lions fans. And I went back and watched a lot of different things today, and man, they were just gutted because a lot of the coordinators and players and stuff agreed to run it back one more year to see what they got because they did so well last year. And when they didn't win this game, things are going to start to fall apart for them. They're not going
Yeah.
to
Well,
have
a
the
lot
same
of them,
team.
a lot of them are jumping ship, and
Right.
yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do next year.
So one last little thing before I let Anna go. So we were actually looking at the Lions offensive coach to be our head coach this year. And he decided, well, he claims that he decided that he wanted to give one more year to the Lions. The reality of the situation was we asked his opinions on Jaden. He really wanted to work with some of our other quarterbacks we had in our system and wasn't going to give the keys to a rookie. And we said thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
And he decided to and spun it as if it was his choice all along to
Of
stay
course.
there, right?
Aren't they all? That's just,
Right.
I
So,
don't want to work for a team run by basketball people.
right, exactly. Uh-huh.
So dumb.
Right. So that's fine. He can believe that. And look who's in the NFC Championship this year
Exactly.
with that, guy
And
that
there's
was
your karma.
uncoachable, right? So a little extra motivation for that win, which I appreciate. Uh, uh, they forgot the Eagles got beat not too long ago. Ravens was heartbreaking. Yes, the Ravens game was heartbreaking, especially the dropping of the 2 point. No surprise here. We're not gonna have Tim on tonight, which I totally understand, and I thank him for all the coverage that he's been able to do, all season long. And let me change up my graphics real quickly because I am going to swap out. But Anna, thank you so much for joining us. And Gil, I know you had one final thought that you wanted to let us know on your way out.
Yeah, other than go Commanders, it's going to be an interesting road trip for the Caps. Like I said, Edmonton's going to be the biggest challenge, but good and bad things happen on long road trips. I think the Caps mostly have their recent problems worked out, but it's going to be interesting. So I'm urging our fans to keep an eye on this team if you can. I get that they're all late games and it's a pain to stay up. I get that. But if you really want to see how this season will play out, I think this road trip will be very telling.
I'm gonna put up the why not graphic that Gil had sent us. That was the inspiration for our graphics, and now that is up for the Commander segment. And Gil and Anna, thank you. And I remind everybody, I'll do the Anna command this time since I did the Gil one earlier. But you can go check out the Power Play Point podcast and go enjoy all their stuff that they've got over there. If you want more Caps coverage, and we'll have Gil on next week, and we'll see Anna in a couple of weeks. And thank you so much for all the hockey coverage.
Yo,
And
yo.
rooting for it, and there he is.
Hey,
Yo, yo.
Oh my goodness, it's been too long.
What's going on, everybody? How's it going?
Well, Gil and I were just saying that we could not be happier for the Commanders fans, for you and Robbie. I'm thrilled for you guys. Fantastic games. Like I even was more NFL versus NHL over the weekend.
Even though it was Pittsburgh versus Capitals.
Yeah.
How
Like, and
diehard she was.
that just tells you, I feel like their rivalry is like meh, but
Anna,
pulling
I
for you.
tried. You've been a part of the show long enough. You have to incorporate a second TV in your viewing area. I had four TVs going with the Capitals, the Commanders, the Wizards, and I had another basketball game. I had a parlay on the other TV. So you've been part of the team long enough. It's time to incorporate it. Robbie has 4 in his basement. I got 4 in my basement. It's time for you to step up and get 2, so you don't have to make that decision anymore.
There, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, I'd be all for that. I'm gonna tell my husband and family that's what I want for my birthday next month.
Hey, why not? I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Sports is a great escape from the crazy reality of life right now.
Yes,
Real,
it is.
real quickly before we let Gil go, there was a question for him in Facebook that before he goes, that there was a rumor that Connor McDavid is being suspended for 3 games.
Oh yeah,
That is not a rumor. That has happened. He has been suspended for 3 games.
3 games.
And as a consequence, we will not be facing him in the game that is to be played tomorrow night.
Oh, that's lucky for us.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about him, but that was a dirty. I saw the cross check.
it
That
was
was
a
a
dirty
dirty play,
hit.
and he didn't have no remorse whatsoever. So I don't know.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I haven't been a McDavid fan, but I've never really, been on a bandwagon like everybody else. He's a hell of a player, put up hell of a points, and, that team is playing great because of, him and in part with the other players they have. But yeah, that's uncalled for. That puts him on the list of close to Brad Marchand when you start doing stuff like that. And once you get that stigma on you, everybody's going to be gunning. And he's not the biggest dude, so I don't know. I don't know if you want to go down that road. But before y'all go, I got to get my piece on the Capitals since I haven't been around, especially with Ovi doing what he's doing. And first, I got to definitely, shout out Ovi. 21 goals from breaking the record. I've been watching. I've been, recording stuff. So you best believe there's going to be a video coming out once he breaks that record. You already know that.
But Carol, can we talk about the A on Tommy's jersey?
That dude is playing phenomenal, man. He just played his 800th game or 900th?
Yes.
Yeah, 800th game. He been with the team. He's evolved from the bruiser that everybody called dirty to having goal streaks of 5 games, scoring 2 goals. Had his first hat trick this year. He's evolved into a great player. And like they always say, if he's not on your team, you hate him. But if he's on your team, you love him. And I still love him. And my first jersey purchase was a Tom Wilson jersey.
Yes, it was. I love that. I haven't seen you forever, but you and I will always bond over number 43.
Yeah, that's my dude, man. That's my dude. He killed me on a parlay the other day, but I just needed 1 point, and that's when he got in penalty trouble, and he didn't get a point that game. So, but yeah, it's definitely good to see the way these Capitals are playing. Carberry, that dude is amazing the way he has his team playing. First year, getting into the playoffs, and now flipping the switch, went from the worst goal differential to the best goal differential. Now we're playing close games, shutouts, almost 3 games in a row. Gave up only 5 goals in 8 games. So this team is playing lovely. Even when Ovi was out, they were still, going along. If you notice, I'm sitting in front of my District of Champions banner in the background, and I did that for a reason. We'll talk about that in Commanders Talk. But the way these Capitals are playing, I believe they're still the top team in the league now, with Winnipeg not playing the other day. So last time I checked, they were still the top team. But it's just amazing the way these guys are playing. They pulled all the right triggers and they hitting all the right buttons. And it's kind of similar to what's going on with the Commanders. They finally turned the corner. Everything is going in the right direction. Players are developing. Free agents are working out. Goaltending is stellar on less than $2 million for 2 goalies. So, I mean, as a DC sports fan, I mean, besides the Wizards, I mean, you should feel pretty good. I'm not even going to talk about them. I'm not going to talk about how many parlays that first round draft pick didn't cost me.
All right. Well, I also had to bust out the District of Champions.
Got to.
Well, thank you guys both so much. We're gonna switch over to our football coverage, but it's always great talking to both of you. Also, Eric said there's only gonna be a video. There's gonna be dozens of videos. That's true. Carol was talking about that. He's gonna make an OV video.
Hey, there's only one video. That's the video that okay. Everyone can have their own. You're just copying me. It's my world. Eric, you haven't realized that in years of watching the show. It's my world. I make the videos and they copy them from me.
Nice.
All righty. With that, I'm gonna switch our graphics from NHL to NFL, but we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yes,
All
take
right.
Y'all
care.
take it easy. I'll
Thanks.
catch
We'll be
y'all next.
Night,
watching.
guys.
Hopefully,
Bye.
catch y'all next week.
Yep.
Yeah. That would be great. All right. With that, we're gonna switch over to our other graphics and welcoming in. Also, we got Hurt and we got Champ joining us. I'll bring in Hurt first. Hurt, how are you doing tonight?
Drunk.
Oop.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
there you are. I hear you now. Okay.
Okay, cool. I've had lots of drinks, so I don't know if you can hear me or not. I'm drunk. I've been drinking for the last I can't really count the last 2 days, whatever how many hours that is. I've been drinking ever since halftime of that wonderful game. I've been on what's called a bender. Um, if alcohol was crack, I'd be Marion Barry.
That's pretty funny. All right. With that, we're having a fun time for sure. Champ is on the other side of this thing because I know that he's been sober for months. But Champ, how are you doing tonight?
With people's champ at.
Oh wait, the audio isn't working for some reason.
Oh, well, Big
I
Hurt said
can't hear you. I can't hear you, champ. It's probably because I'm drunk, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, nah, I was like, you good? He having some audio difficulties.
Testing. One,
There we
two.
go.
There we go. There we go.
Okay. As I was saying, like, I'm a little bit jealous of her since I'm over 90 days sober and whatnot. But yeah, happy to be here. Happy to have one of the biggest victory Mondays in the history of Sports on the Hill podcast.
Yes,
For
sir.
sure. I would say it's the biggest one for Commanders. We haven't had anything like this since the early 90s.
I just want on the record. I said this on my live the other day. I just want this on the record that Jaden Daniels has more playoff wins than Kirk Cousins. I just want that to be known. I want that on the record.
Right.
More playoff wins
I
than
was
Kirk Cousins.
I was gonna throw that shot out there, but I don't feel no need to. But I'm glad that you did. So you know.
And for the Cowboys fans out there, Jaden Daniels has more playoff wins than Dak Prescott. Y'all paid him millions.
I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah, that's
Well,
it.
I'm saying it, goddammit.
y'all on something different that night. Y'all on some get back tonight. I'm on some let's look forward.
Get back. We've been the ass of the NFC East for the last 12 years. Ever since RG3 went down with a knee injury, we've been taking shit from Giants fans, Eagles fans, Cowboys fans. Cowboys ain't done shit, but we take the shit from them. It's our fucking turn. Fuck that. We got Jaden, and anything's possible. Anybody, anytime, anywhere, or whatever it is. I've been drinking, so I don't know if I got the slogan right. But I just want you to know, look. I'm watching the game right now. Oh shit, you can't see it. I'm watching the game right now.
I just finished rewatching it again. I just put a defensive video out. It was, to me, this team is playing phenomenal. I mean, all I can say is the football gods has finally smiled on the Commanders after 30 years of mediocrity, as you said, being the butt of the NFC East jokes and having dysfunction, wasted draft picks, bad decisions, bad everything. I mean, if you could imagine it, it happened here. And the fact that we got a new owner, which, you know, most of the fan base deemed him as the most evil man in the whole world. Got a coach that was smart enough to learn from his previous mistakes. Add a veteran staff to help him because he said one of his biggest issues was delegating responsibility. Then you have a owner, front office was smart enough to hire a football mind in the GM spot. Now that is a turn of events for this this market for a long time, and then to hit. I guess I'm gonna put it this way: since y'all throwing a little shade, I'm gonna throw a little shade too. Since Chicago decided to take Caleb Williams #1 and gifted us the greatness of Jaden Daniels, we now have, I dare to say, a franchise quarterback for the Washington Commanders, and all of that happened in the span of 1 year. And this
I
man,
just,
go ahead, Kim. Go all day, man.
I'm sorry. I just want to say this. I'm in a fantasy football group with a bunch of Chicago guys. All right. It's a Yahoo league. I already was disengaged. But all season long, every time Jaden Daniels fart and cough, they would just be like, I still rather have Caleb Williams. Like, dude, like Caleb's gonna be okay. All right. But I told them after the Chicago game, I said, guys, respectfully, don't ever put Jaden and Caleb in the same stratosphere ever again. They're not the same. Your guy's going to be good. He's going to be fine. He's going to be a marginally good quarterback. He's going to be the best quarterback you guys have had in a while. But Jaden is special. He's special. And I just need him to get a couple of MVP votes. If he can steal one or two MVP votes, I'll feel good. I do feel like I'm not a homer when I say this. He's definitely the MVP. There's no player that's more valuable to their team than Jaden Daniels.
You
Not
are
Lamar.
you are correct.
Not Lamar. Not Jared. Not is it Jared Allen. I don't know.
Josh Allen.
Josh
Allen.
Allen. I've been drinking.
I got you. Hurt. I got you.
No,
We know.
like,
We know, bro.
I know Lamar's gonna win and Allen's gonna be number 2. I just need somebody to step up and give Jaden a couple of votes. That's all I need. And I'll be happy.
He's getting votes. People have been saying that throughout the whole season. Even Stephen A. Hairline and Lewis Riddick been going, saying that he deserves some MVP votes, that he will get some MVP votes. So I think that's a no-brainer. But I was watching one of the shows early. They put a stat up of the rookie quarterbacks that's made it to the championship game or the Super Bowl. It's only been 5. And out of 4 of those 5, they all had either a top-rating defense or a top 3 defense that carried them to the championship. Jaden Daniels would be the first quarterback to have an 18th ranked defense.
Ooh.
So just think about that for a second. They leaned on their defense to do what they did to get to where they got to. This man is taking the responsibility, putting the team on his back, willing this team to win, making the right decisions, hitting the right reads at the right time, leaving the pocket when he's supposed to, keeping himself safe, and not doing stupid things, the hero ball. All I got to say is, if this man makes it to the Super Bowl, which I'm predicting in an upset like I did last week, if this man makes it to the Super Bowl, and I was just watching Stephen A. Hairline, he actually said it, that if they beat the Eagles, Jaden Daniels will be the first rookie to win a Super Bowl.
It depends. I ironically think they can beat the Chiefs, but not. I don't know about Buffalo. But I honestly don't think they can beat the Eagles. I don't see it. The Eagles are still too upset and too hurt about that L we put on them a couple weeks ago. They're going to be gunning. Now, if Jalen Hurts isn't healthy, because we saw his leg get bent up. If he's not healthy, it's a different conversation. But I don't know, man. I don't see us winning this game. I think this game will be harder than either Super Bowl game. And if we do win this game, I see what you're saying. If we win this game, first of all, I'm telling everybody who can see this now. If we beat the Eagles, I'm going to be insufferable. It's going to be bad. I already predict I'm probably going to get in like 2 fights tomorrow because like the guy in my poker league's a hardcore Detroit Lions fan. And I let him talk shit because I thought we were going to lose that game. But he's going to have to hold my rag.
But Hurt, did you feel like we were going to win that Lions game?
No.
Okay.
No. I, with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I never thought we were going to win that game. I did not think we were going to win that game. I was like, man, we had a good showing. were really competing. That's all I could really ask for. My mindset was never that we were going to win that game. And I think it wasn't until I think toward the end of the middle of the fourth quarter, I was like, "Yo, hold up, we're up by a lot of points, and
Hurt,
we're
hurt,
playing good defense." I never thought we were going to win that game. I
hurt,
was in shock.
hurt. You gotta. With me now, after seeing, witnessing him 8, 9 games at home and seeing what he's done, I now have a confidence that I've never had before that if this man has the ball with a minute left and we're down 3 to 6 points, I have no doubt that we're going to win the game. I've never had that feeling. When the Detroit, I predicted the game plan. I said Detroit get the ball first, don't do anything. We get some points, put the pressure on them. Once that crowd gets quiet, because the pressure was all on Detroit. They're the number one seed. They had to go to the Super Bowl, and they didn't play close games all season.
It
Pressure
sure
bursts,
didn't.
pressure bursts pipes, and pressure makes diamonds. The Commanders are making diamonds in the last 2 weeks. Tampa Bay and Detroit has burst pipes because in the fourth quarter, when the pressure was on, they both made two crucial mistakes that put them out of the game. And because of the season that we've had, going back to your Eagles, talking about the Eagles, I granted they're still upset about whatever, but they can be upset about the Jalen Hurts hit. But we gave them 5 turnovers with the number one ranked defense. I don't care if you wheeled out Ben Roethlisberger in a wheelchair. You're supposed to win that game. So in my opinion, Jay and Daniels have taken their heart already. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the snow, we would be going to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, not L.A. We'd
I
be
mean, well,
Arizona, but you know,
but Arizona even plays better in our favor.
fire. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Jesus
sorry.
Christ,
I'm sorry.
man.
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
like that. This show's gonna go way off the rails. Anyway, but
Normally, I'm the one that's making it go off the rails, but it's
I know,
hurt
I know.
tonight.
But
My hearts and prayers to everybody in California going through the fires. I'm sorry.
Hey man, and you got to cut loose every now and again, man.
yeah,
Got
no,
to cut
it's,
loose.
it's true. And it's funny. I started the podcast last week not a believer. Carol made me a believer, and by the end, I said I agreed with him. In my outro segment, I was saying, "Look, if we keep it close, it's going to get nerve-wracking." I think the same thing could happen in Philly. So I think if we can keep it close into the fourth quarter, we've got a real chance. My only issue is our run defense is still suspect at times, and Saquon Barkley is going to go ham on that. And so,
No,
like, you don't think so?
I could not agree with that statement, good sir.
All
If
right.
you recall the
Well,
last
Carol, you know Robbie's the pessimist, so he's got to have his pessimistic views. Come on now.
it's a perfect segue where I was going. Recall in the last game, Saquon went off in the first quarter, buck 15, 2 touchdowns. Jalen got hurt. Therefore, they changed their defensive scheme. That man got 45 yards in 3 quarters. Now, as Hurt alluded to, Jalen Hurts is not 100% in his legs. And if you watched him the last 2 games, I don't think he's thrown for over 175 yards.
He hasn't been the same since he got the concussion.
Yeah, and that was not a dirty hit. For all the
It
folks
was
that
not
say
a dirty hit.
he hit
It was.
Frankie Louvu hit him in his chest and his head hit the ground is
Yeah.
what caused the concussion for all of those Eagles fans that still want
It's
to
not our
throw that
fault
out.
he's fragile.
Say that again.
It's not our fault he's fragile.
Yeah, and he's looking like that's what I'm saying. They're primed for the taking. They're at home, cool. The weather's supposed to be nice, so it's gonna be no snow as of right now. And as I said, Jaden took their soul with that 5 touchdown performance to beat that number one defense who hadn't lost in what was it, 10 weeks? We're the only team to put an L on them in 15 weeks. So once again, the pressure is on them. They're at home. They have the world expectation. And Jaden, to put it in the words of the great rest in peace Stuart Scott, is cool as the other side of the pillow.
Absolutely.
That man does not get shaken. He got more poise at 22 than I got at 47.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, to hear, one of the goats in the league talk about him in the fact that Tom Brady was the commentator of this game, and he just couldn't get over his poise. Both of the announcers couldn't. And I was really impressed by it. And, arguably, he doesn't have to do another thing. And this is the best rookie season in the history of the NFL, right?
Right.
And if he wins this next game, then it's just not even up for conversation. No rookie has ever started
Ever.
the Super Bowl.
Ever.
Ever.
Never. Ever, 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 ever. Think about that.
Yeah.
And this man is in his rookie year. That's what is
And
boggling everybody's mind.
we still have like $100 million to spend. Like it's this off season.
Oh,
I'm
brother.
not gonna lie. We need one of those Dan Snyder off seasons where we just buy a bunch of like, look, Miles Garrett's gonna be free. Um, like just whoever we want, and there's gonna be players who want to come
Who
play with
want
this kid.
that?
And might
That's
take a
the beautiful
discount
thing.
for it.
They want to come here. That's the whole icing on top of it. Not the fact that we have the second most money to spend, not the fact that we got 7 draft picks, not the fact we have a quality GM that knows how to scout and get good talent and knows the value of these players. But folks actually want to come here.
Yeah, they're like they want to be a part of history, and this kid is history. He's
So,
a special talent. Like they want to be a part of it.
I have to give a shout out to somebody I've been real rough on the last couple of weeks. B Rob has finally decided to run like himself again.
He came through.
I don't know what the dancing at the line, the shuffling of the feet when he was just run through, hit the pile, and let the people fall where they may. But I was a little upset that they made Rodriguez inactive again, especially after the performance we saw last week with him not, hitting the hole hard. I go ahead and throw that one out there.
Pause.
I was waiting on somebody. I knew somebody.
No, did he?
So I want to give a shout out to B Rob because he definitely helped set the tone for the game, especially when he started out, with those nice, nice tough runs, getting those nice quality yards, keeping us in manageable situation, and making the defense respect the run game, which allowed Jaden to do what he did more freely. So, got to give a shout out to B Rob and just to all 3 phases of the team. I mean, they're playing seamless. Besides Gonzalez missing field goals, the special teams has been lights out. Yeah, is the Austin dude supposed to be back sometime soon, or he was supposed to? Or they put him on IR? Or what's the deal with the kicker? Are we getting him back, or we stuck with Zane? Anybody know? I don't know.
I think we're riding the season out with Gonzalez,
Oh,
and
so
and honestly, I'm gonna tell you why I don't mind. You have a kicker who spends more time fluffing his hair than buckling his laces. It makes you want to go for it on 4th down more. I'm with it.
True.
Look, let me be for real. Okay, hold on. Let me adjust this camera so I can be for real. Every single time we went for it on 4th down, I was screaming at the TV, "Turn the points! Turn the points!" And we missed the first one, and then we hit the rest of them. And I thought about it. I'm like, damn, if we hit 50% of our 4th downs, that's 7 points. That's more than 2 field goals. I'd go for it every time. I'm with it. I did the math. I did the math, even though I was drunk. Yeah. When I sobered up, it still made sense. And I'm drunk again, and it still makes sense.
That's where coaching comes in. Because if you go back to last week, you settle for those 4 field goals. That's 12 points. Those 4th downs they went for amounted in 14 points. Yep. That's where coaching comes in. That's why I tell some of these keyboard gangsters on social media that want to talk about firing this coach and they don't know what they're doing. That's what coaching is about. All of y'all, I know y'all was screaming at the TV. Why he not taking the points? We gonna lose because he being too aggressive. I love the way he said we were aggressive.
Even after even after we got the second 2-point, even after we got the second down, the 1st down, I was like, I still would have taken the points. And then it happened again. I was like, I still would have taken the points. But, we got another touchdown. And then we got to the fourth one. I'm like, okay, I would go for it on this one, but we're up. We should take the points. Oh, we got it again. And it's just, at some point, fans got to shut the fuck up and let the guy who's led us to where we are lead us to where we're going. So at some point, we got to shut the fuck up. So
I love the way he's coaching. He's like the whole team is like in the zone right now. It's like no matter what happens, if any adversity, they like, we got time on the clock. We got this. And that's the same way I feel. No matter what's going on during the game, Detroit went up first. We only got 3, and then they started to open it up, and then Williams got that long run, and then what do? Terry screen touchdown, 57 yards. Not even 2 minutes later. So they're answering the call. They're not wavering when the pressure hits, and they're battle tested with an X factor
100%.
of Jaden fucking Daniels.
I got a question for both her and for CP3. Do you think the hit on Goff on the pick 6 was a illegal hit and should have got flagged?
I'll let you handle that one first, Hurt.
I respect Steve Blandino's explanation about what should have happened, but at that point, you're a player who's going to try to make a play. To me, you're no longer a quarterback. I didn't think that was a dirty hit. I didn't think it should have been flagged. I think it should have been illegal.
I agree. I don't feel it was a dirty hit during the broadcast. Like you said, he said it should have been a penalty, but as I've stated about these roughing the passer calls and these hit to the head calls, I understand the spirit of the rule, but when the referees don't have common sense to see if a player's hand hits his helmet as opposed to his helmet hitting his helmet, then that's when the call should be made. So I don't feel it should have been called. I feel like it was finally if they did see it and they didn't call it, it was a great judgment call. If they didn't see it, I'm glad they didn't because it shouldn't have got called. But they have to put common sense into the judgment now, just like with the fake face mask that they put on Fowler, that it was actually his shoulder pad. And they mentioned on the broadcast, oh, that's not a play you can review. They need to make that reviewable. We've said that about pass interference, about face masks. How many times? And how many times has it come into play? And I mean,
I think they fixed that this year. I think this year they fixed that. I think going into next season, those plays will be reviewable. It'll be a replay assist or some shit.
I hope
I
so
truly
because
believe that.
well, they talking about it. We'll see if they're going to do it. So I hope they do.
They got to because
Because
it's affecting the outcome of games now.
yeah, especially with those like with Fowler alone, he's had 3 roughing the passer calls, like 5, and like 3 of them should not have been called because it was incidental. His hand hit his helmet or hit his face mask when he was tackling him, and they called roughing the passer because he made contact with his helmet. That's
Yeah, they got to fix that.
Yeah, to me that's a bailout, but that's also going to my conspiracy about these refs having FanDuel parlays going during these games, bruh.
I don't know if it's FanDuel parlays. I think the referees know that the ratings are going to be for the Chiefs versus the Commanders. I think they know that. I think they know where the ratings are going to be. I think they want to see Jaden Daniels. I think more importantly than that, I think they want to see close games. So once you get one team who's kind of blowing the backside of the team, you might see them do a little bit more to try to make the game balance. Like you remember remember you used to play Madden, and Madden used to have a setting called keep game close, where you couldn't really blow the backs off of the opponent you're playing against.
I
Like
never
it
used
could
that setting.
be, yeah. But for those of you who don't know, Madden used to have a secret rating. You could turn on or off. It was called keep game close, and it would keep the game competitive. So if you're really beating the shit out of your nephew, your 5-year-old nephew, they would start making you fumble, making you throw interceptions, making all of his defensive players turn to Champ Bailey and Lawrence Taylor,
Yeah,
making all of your quarterback throws look like Kirk Cousins in the first 3 quarters. Like it would just be one of those. And one day they just stopped making it so you could turn that on or off, and they started promoting Madden as a game where it's always competitive, which is when I stopped playing it. The NFL has that also. The NFL wants to keep games competitive. They want to keep the ratings up. If they see one team running away, they're going to call more holding calls. They're going to call more pass interference. They want to keep drama. They want to keep the games close. And that's just all there is to it. It's
Uh,
hard to blow the bats out for somebody, but Jaden Daniels found a way to do it. Throwing the bats out of Detroit. Hey, look, they broke up Detroit and Chicago so bad they have to team up, try to fix each other. I love it. I
no
love David
doubt.
Johnson running to Chicago to be like, he hurt you?
Yeah.
He hurt me. Hey, what was that movie? Um, what was that Will Smith movie? It's not I Am Legend. It's a Hancock.
No. Yeah.
Remember when all the people he arrested was in jail together? He's like, he hurt you.
Yeah.
He hurt you too. Let's team up and let's
Uh,
get them. That's
uh,
Ben Johnson in Chicago.
hey,
Because we
go.
broke both of them. Both of them thought they was going to be hot shit, and we fucked both of them up.
True that. Hey, going back to your
Where the hell's my
5-year-old.
alcohol?
Say,
God.
going back to your 5-year-old nephew in the Madden setting, I never knew that setting, and he had to learn at a young age to take that ass whipping and get better. So I never knew about that setting, and I don't know nothing about that setting.
Oh, no,
But
no. I think they turned it off. I think they stopped making it something you could turn off in like 2006, 2007. But before then, there was a setting, and I mean, I swear to God, it was called Keep Game Close. It was a setting on Madden. If I can find video evidence of it, I'll shoot it to you. And
bruh,
Robbie can
nah,
put it in the thread. I'm
nah,
not
it's
making it up because I'm drunk.
nah, it's just cool because I've never used it because we just gut people. We didn't have no mercy. I didn't give a damn what it was. If you couldn't play, you don't get on the sticks.
Yeah, 21 nothing was a skate rule.
We had a TV in the back that you had to work. It was a 25-inch in the back you had to start on. We had a
Mm-hmm.
45 in the bedroom where you weren't under that. Then we had the 75 in the living room that you had to earn to get on the big screen. So wasn't
Mm-hmm.
no setting to keep it close. If you got your ass spanked, you went to the back room and went to go practice.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to this game, we did go on a tangent. You drunk and I'm off my herbal medication, so no telling where this show might go.
And then
But
Seth is here and he's just watching.
Sip probably sitting back smoking a cigar, chilling. But getting back to this matchup, first of all, I want to go back to the defense because folks have been shitting on the defense all season, and I shouted them out last week, and I want to know your impression. I'm gonna shout them out again this week. The defensive coordinator Joe Witt. I've been riding with this dude. I didn't know nothing about him until he came from the Cowboys. So I ain't gonna fake like I know been following him his whole career. But since he's been here, I watched every one of his pressers just like I do any other season. And he takes accountability, he takes responsibility, and there's no BSing with him. And throughout the whole season, he was preaching about turnovers because we had one of the worst turnover ratio. I mean, we didn't get that many turnovers. We had a good differential, but we only had like 9 or 10. And he was like, he's not used to his defenses not being able to produce turnovers. Like it's going to come, and when it come, it's going to come in bunches. It's coming at the right time. We got 5 turnovers in the divisional round and going into the championship game. They've been getting their hands out there, deflections and pass breakups, but they haven't come up with the turnovers. We saw a pick 6 by Quan Martin at a crucial point of the game. So two interceptions by the rookie. One of them in the end zone that cost me a parlay, damn it. If he would have completed that pass, I'd have won my
Hey,
bet.
real quick. Can
Uh-huh.
we talk about that particular interception? Can we talk about how he rocked Jared Goff to sleep and made Jared Goff think that he was a top 15 quarterback in the league? Like that, oh man, that receiver's beating me, and he just closed on him and caught it like he was the receiver. Like that was a beautiful play. It was a beautiful play. And Saint Juicy Pussy should never ever see the field again. I am so sorry I said that. I am so sorry.
I'll have to put on the disclaimer now.
Yeah,
I am
you
so
about to get us shut down. Hurt.
Yeah, I just gotta warn people. That's all.
Yeah, but yeah, Mikey played lights out. The fact that he was a wide receiver, before he converted over to defensive back. The fact that he was back in Michigan and his close to his alma mater, and came up with that interception to seal the half and to give the ball back to us with us getting the ball at half. That was a huge momentum swing that they don't really talk about, but that was a deflator for that Detroit Lions team, thinking they were going to go down, get points to keep it close, try to stop us. Like they did stop us on the first drive on third down. That was their game plan. It didn't work just because of Mikey was, like you said, with that impressive interception. And then the one he got on the trick play. And we talked about all the times when the OCs get too fancy and outthink themselves and
They
trick
got
plays.
cute as crap with that one, and then didn't realize it's a wide receiver throwing the ball. He underthrew it and was late.
And that wide receiver, the wide receiver's never going to tuck the ball. The wide receiver's never going to be like, maybe I shouldn't throw this. He wants that touchdown pass,
Don't
do that shit.
Yo, CP3, there's a Bama on Instagram. It's Hydrocam who does the little recaps of game.
I shared it on my page a couple of hours ago, brother.
It's hilarious. I like when they freeze frame when he's about to throw it. It has the comedian's like, "Don't do it." That's when it should have been right there with Jameson Williams. He was like, when he went back like this, it was like, "Don't do it," and then Commanders fans do it, and he does it, and it gets an interception.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was. They played a perfect game, and like I said, you can ask my folks that I was talking to. I didn't put it on a record, but I said if the game plan, I pretty much called the game plan. Time of possession, put the pressure on them. Don't do nothing outrageous. Be aggressive, not reckless, and they would crumble with the injuries and the pressure and the fact that golf is golf. I knew it was only a matter of time, so. I see the same recipe with the Eagles. They got too many distractions. They got A.J. Brown reading books on the sideline. They got, the Jalen Hurts Sirianni thing is still going on about their relationship. Saquon's killing it. He's the only reason why.
That's weird, right? Like, Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, it's weird, right? They have a weird relationship, right? He's a weird coach.
Yeah, when you're a dick, you're not going to get along with people. And Sirianni is clearly a dick.
Yep. Yeah, but as long as you're winning, you can be dicky. But it's Super Bowl or bust. Because if they lose in the Super Bowl, it's still gonna be like, well, Sirianni coaching, da da da. But it got you here, and I don't wanna help the Eagles. I wanna hurt the Eagles. But I don't know, man. Like it's a weird dynamic between them and that coach. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like the Dabo situation with the Giants. And I love every minute of it. I'm just sad that Mike McCarthy is no longer in Dallas.
Yeah. It's just for me.
I'm just glad they're not getting Mike Tomlin. Oh, I was so worried that Dallas was going to get Mike Tomlin. I'm like, no, but Pittsburgh's not letting Mike Tomlin go. Oh, thank God.
Oh, what do you think about the possibility of Deion?
Let's go. Get Deion down there. Set them back 4 more years, baby. Get Deion's ass down there, baby. Let's go.
I don't think it'll work. Deion is not going to allow Jerry to run roughshod over him, and Jerry ain't going to put up with it. But for so many years, and if you don't win the bowl, he's going to get rid of him.
Exactly. Get Deion's ass down there. Hey, trade 3 first-round picks for his son and set that franchise back 10 more fucking years. I love it. I hope Deion goes.
Here's what's going to happen out there. Yeah. They're going to bring in primetime, right? And it's going to be a Barry Switzer type deal where Deion's going to want more power. Jerry's going to say no. He's going to fire primetime. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's what happened with Switzer.
Well, here's the thing. Anybody who comes to Jerryland has to know that Jerry's going to hold, like, there was some coach last year, I can't remember who it was because I'm drunk, who was like, yo, if I come, this GM has to come with me. And Jerry was like, no, I'm the GM. And they're like, oh, okay, well, you keep that. Like, if Deion goes, he has to know Jerry's going to be the GM, and he has to hope he can convince Jerry to do what he wants to do. But at the same time, Jerry and Deion probably have the same amount of knowledge about what to do in the NFL as each other. Yeah. One's not going. They'll probably agree on stuff.
Well, I'm thinking from Deion's perspective, the only reason it would make sense is to get his foot in the door as an NFL coach because his his trajectory from Jackson State to Colorado to the NFL in what, not even 5 years would be unheard of for one.
Right.
And it would be his way to get his foot in the door to NFL to, like you say, get his feet wet, get some experience, and maybe get a chance to get on with somebody that actually give him a shot if he has a chance to do something. That's just me thinking about Dion the way he thinks about things.
I don't follow college very much.
Me neither. Me neither.
But from what I understand, he was 12-13 in the medium conference. Like, is that NFL coaching type? Is that an NFL coaching resume?
Well, being this is only his second stop,
Yeah.
and he turned the program around, and they made him relevant, and he
Here's
changed the culture. So that's
Well,
what
yeah, because
most.
he got two of the best players in college to go there. He's got now. I do know he has two of the best players in college. I know he has that. I know he has the best player in college, and then he has, like, if not the second or third best player in college. And that has to mean something. He's not going to have that in the NFL. He's not going to have the
Mm-mm.
best quarterback. He's
Nope.
not going to have the best defensive player. I mean, I guess if he goes to Dallas, he might have the best linebacker. He might have Micah Parsons for one more year before Micah Parsons leaves Dallas and comes to Washington to play with the coach that he knows made him who he is today.
real quick. You know what's speaking about the Cowboys coaching job, Troy Aikman, who we all know is a Dallas Cowboy lifer, made his name and his career in Dallas. He went on wax and said that coaching job ain't desirable. Again, he's a lifer. He's a lifer. And even he said, who wants to go coach Dallas now?
Nobody does.
They're millions of dollars in the hole. They have no cap space. They're stuck with Dak Prescott for 2 more years. Their offensive line is old. Their defensive line is run. They got Micah Parsons, and that's it. They got Jerry Jones as the GM. Who wants that job?
No one.
I believe in the next 2 years, they're going to take Dallas out of the NFC East to put them in the NFC South where they belong. Because
They could put Atlanta. They could put Atlanta in the East and put Dallas in the South.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Cowboys and Indians rivalry is gone now. Now that we're the Commanders, no longer the Redskins, that rivalry is gone. They can put Dallas in the NFC South. They can put Atlanta or Carolina in the NFC East and call it a night.
Yep.
You know who would be perfect for the Cowboys? Who I think would be perfect, and I would love for him to go there?
Who?
Jay fucking Gruden.
Oh, get the fuck out of here, bro. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. Imagine.
Jay Gruden is not getting another coaching job because
I know that.
The DC media likes to pretend that he got done so wrong by Dan Snyder, but the entire NFL knows what Jay Gruden is. They know what Marty Schottenheimer. They know what Mike Shanahan is. They're fuck that shit. Wait. Oh, sorry. I need y'all to see what I just saw. Let me turn my background on. Hold up. Am I drunk enough to do this? Okay, there we go. Section.
By the way, quick update in the national championship game. It has gotten really interesting. Notre Dame scores a beautiful passing touchdown and got a 2-point conversion. They are only down 8 with 4:15 left to go in the game against Ohio State. This game has gotten very, very interesting.
I'm happy because it's going to be a blowout.
Wide receiver. This is a bad decision, but I'm doing
it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I'm doing that shit, baby. I made my mind up already.
He's
I'm going to say something.
This for mama.
Go for it, Seth.
I'm with CP. We're winning Sunday.
Ooh.
Yep.
Look, I look. Okay, let me sober up real quick. Hold on, give me a second. We cannot stop the run. We can't. We never have. We never will. We're playing against the best running back in football. Number one. Number two. These dudes are still mad about that fucking L we gave them. They are not losing this game. We are going to lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be close. I think they're going to run the score up on us. No bullshit.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I think they're going to run the score up on us just to show us that the last game was bullshit. I would love. I am not a chick. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Well,
But
hurt. I actually had one of my good friends coming over for the game. He's an Eagles fan, but he's a chill Eagles fan. He's cool. He don't talk shit or throw cheesesteaks or nothing. You're more than welcome to come over next Sunday and watch the game with us and watch this upset in the making on the TV.
I'm gonna be at Crystal City Sports Pub with a bunch of my poker buddies and a couple of friends from high school. We got 2 tables reserved at Crystal City Sports Pub in Crystal City, Virginia. That's where we're gonna be. Like if you're looking for someone to watch the game, that's where we're gonna be at.
Don't get locked up when we win. Don't be body slamming no Eagles fans, please.
If we win, I'm gonna get locked up for indecent exposure. What are you talking about? My titties is gonna be out. The fuck you mean? I'm not gonna have no clothes on.
I'm gonna see Big Hurt on a police body cam on Facebook somewhere, and I'm gonna be like, man, I know that ninja right there. Holy shit!
I'll definitely be
Give
in the
all of us
basement.
our start.
I'll definitely be in the
Jake's
basement.
gonna give it to me. I'm gonna be like, Hurt. Nah, bro. No, man. No. You did that to do the future shot.
Yo, it's look. If we win this game, I'm gonna be insufferable. Like, you know how people are like, yeah, talk nice to me? I'm just gonna be like, yo, don't look in my direction. Don't look in my direction. Because if we win this game, like, friendships will be damaged. Like, I made a plea. I made an impassioned plea to all my Philadelphia Eagles fans that I'm friends with. I'm like, look, how we gonna act? We gonna be chill. We gonna be good. Most Eagles fans was like, yeah, we gonna be chill. We gonna be chill. One dude was like, I'm making pork shoulder. I said, that's how you feel, Daddy? And I'll eat an eagle. Fuck you mean?
We'll throw that some bitch on the grill. Bring him over.
Man, what the fuck? Oh, yo, I'll be over at CP3's house like, look at this shit. I don't know what kind of bird this is. It could be a duck. They don't even know it's a duck. Like, yo, it's an eagle, yo. We eating that shit. Bald eagle, we eating it.
I got a shock in the world, brother. I don't see it stopping, bro. I don't see them controlling it. I see them as a wounded animal right now, and I see us as the predator, and we're gonna rip their fucking hearts out in Lincoln Field. And I hope they pull a Terrell Owens and stand on the middle of that eagle and sing "Die Eagles Die."
Yo, Saquon Barkley, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns.
In the snow.
200 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns.
I want him on regular grass, and I want him to remember those 3 quarters where we bottled his ass up with Kenny Pickett, and now they got a Kenny Pickett in the backfield that's just a little bit bigger, named Jalen Hurts. It's not going to be as mobile, so the zone read ain't going to be as much as a threat because he ain't going to want to get out there and get his ass busted. So they're going to put that extra man in the box, use our top 5 secondary to shut down Mr. 45-yard A.J. Brown and Mr. 4-catch Devontae Smith, who ain't done nothing.
I'm worried about Dotson. I'm worried about Jahan Dotson's revenge game. He's been coming on lately.
43 degrees and cloudy with 8% chance of precipitation. So no.
I've been coming on too, Hurt. I was coming on this morning.
All right. Damn it.
Well, as soon as we hang up this phone, I'm gonna be coming on. Like, it's happening, bro. Going down, man.
So it's not gonna snow. It's not gonna have weather. It's gonna be cold, ish. But 43 is not crazy. I just
43 is way warmer than that last game. So I was at that Eagles game. It
Me
was
too.
brick.
Yeah, it was cold. It was
It
cold.
was
That's
brick. I
yeah.
had on
Somebody
a
had them.
fucking ninja mask, gloves, two hoodies, two pair of pants. And I was still cold. If I had nipples, they would have frozen off. If I ain't got them.
Hey man, yeah, it was a cold one out there, but the thing that everybody talk about, Hurts was hurt. It was, if he was still in the game, I actually got into a heated debate with another fan talking about, if Hurts would have been there, they would have put up 60 on us. If my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. We can talk in hypotheticals all day. But the fact that they had 5 turnovers and we still won the game against the top ranked defense at that time that still rated number 1 in all of the categories. We still did that.
The bottom line is this: regardless of who was at quarterback, the Commanders gave them 5 extra possessions via turnovers, and they still lost. Yes. Bottom freaking line. They got 5 extra possessions via turnover. Yeah, you don't look
over 5 times again.
Exactly. No, that's not going to happen again. But they had 5 turnovers and still lost the game. It don't matter. I could have been back there quarterback. And come on now.
Come on now. I agree. That's why I say
you really did turn that ball over 5 times, and you still won.
Yeah, that's why I say all bets are off. The only intangible is because it's the 3rd time they've played. That's always the X factor. Whenever you have that's played 3 times in one season, all bets are off. You never know what's going to happen. That's why I'm riding with Commanders, but I know there's a chance that Philly can still pull this off. But I feel like even though they're the favorite on the point spread and favored by most analysts, as always against us, any other team, but the confidence, the momentum, the execution, and the way they're playing and playing for each other, I don't see nothing stopping that. Even Philly's vaunted run offense, the same way, Jahmyr Gibbs only had 105 yards rushing.
105.
So, I mean, he's been killing all season. He's a freak of nature. He makes great plays, but they didn't stop him, but they contained him. That's the key. You're not going to stop these guys, but if you can contain them and then make them have to punt the ball and not get points or only get 3 points knowing we're scoring touchdowns, the whole pressure dynamic switches. The whole play calling switches. The whole thought process on defense switches. Oh, we got to make something happen. We got to press. We got to start jamming. We got to blitz. We got to do it. And then that's when the mistakes come in, as we've seen, because they're playing not their regular way.
Dude, so, I was screaming right here. Not to interrupt you.
Nah,
I just want you to know I was screaming. I'm like, don't go there. Get the field there. Get the let me shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Terry got pinged around like a ping pong ball and said, give me the ball.
By the way, quick update on the national championship game. Ohio State just hit a bomb down the field to get into goal situations 2 minutes ago. So it's looking like Ohio State might be closing this one out and might be winning yet another national championship. We'll keep an eye on things and see what happens. Sith, you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm going to tell y'all something. We had nothing to lose. Just like this past weekend, we've got nothing to lose at all. Okay? Everyone's expecting Philly to win. They're the 2 seed. All right? That's why we're going to win. There have been 6 seeds that have gone to the Super Bowl. The 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers actually won the Super Bowl from being the 6th seed because my girlfriend at the time went to a Super Bowl part. She lived in Pittsburgh. She was a part of that Super Bowl celebration in the fucking snow.
Giants was the number 6.
I am riding with us to win.
Yeah. Weren't the Giants the 6 when they beat the Patriots?
Yep, they were.
Yep.
So, and they were perfect. They were undefeated season. And the freaking Giants came out of nowhere with Eli Manning and that damn David Tyree catching the ball on his helmet shit. They cost me money, but they ended up shocking the world. So, I mean, hey, man, crazier things than happen.
I really want a rematch of the 92 Super Bowl. I think that would be such a cool storyline all these years.
Washington, that'd be great.
You know how many, oh my God, you know how many old Buffalo fans Thurman Thomas going to come out and try to play probably, man. That's going to be crazy.
And he can watch his team lose just like Barry Sanders watched his.
Hey.
Hey.
That's the only thing that hurt when I saw Barry sitting there watching that. I was like, oh, that's my dude.
Him and Megatron.
Yeah, I was Megatron. He was cool, but me and Barry, I always was upset that he retired before he got the rushing record that damn Emmitt Smith got it. If he would have never retired, he would have broke that record 2 years, not even probably 2 years after that, and it took Emmett 7 more seasons and 2 more teams to do it.
The funniest expression from the game over the weekend was when Detroit had 12 men on the field, and their defensive coordinator's like, get out, get out, get out, get off the field, get off the field.
Get out.
Yeah, trying to get the timeout.
Fourth and 2, and you have 12 men on the field. That's just a harbinger of how far they fell from being the number 1 seed to get beat by the 6th seed in their own house.
But think about it.
You gotta break that team up. At that point, you gotta break that team up.
Yeah, but think about it. Take a step back and reflect on the whole season. Remember, early in the season, we were getting those calls. We were having those illegal procedure penalties in the crunch time. Now, because they're battle tested, because Mr. Jayton then won 6 games in the last 10 seconds or overtime, that now they're tested. They don't crumble when they're in that situations in game time, because like Coach said, practice the way you play and play the way you practice.
Yeah.
And that's what they've been doing. So it's not just lip service. You see the results on the field of what he's saying. And you hear the players saying the same thing. So that's the beautiful thing about this. Everybody's on the same page. Front office, coach, players, the training staff, even on the same page. Because how many soft tissue injuries have we had this year?
Not many, if any.
Not many.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing, dog. It's a beautiful thing. I'm in utopia right now, man. We got a bright future. We got a young, healthy quarterback that's a rookie that's got us to the championship game in his first year when he's supposed to be the worst of his career. If this is the worst of his career, I can't wait for the rest of his career.
Absolutely.
It's been really incredible to watch, and it's interesting to see the fandom embrace these moments, right? Because and who's rooting for whom and what's remaining. It's wild to me. Almost all the Cowboys fans unanimously have decided that we are the lesser of two evils and rooting for us over.
Of course.
The only
Of
people that are
course.
rooting for the Eagles
Of
are
course.
Eagles fans. Dallas
Of
fans
course.
are rooting for Washington 100% in this.
I know a lot of I've had a lot of fans of all NFC East teams. They didn't want to go. I had a public post earlier talking about how we're going to act, but I had much more responses in my inbox and my DMs and my text messages from people being like, yo, I hate your team, but Jaden Daniels is special, and I don't mind watching him win. I get a lot of that. Because everybody can respect him. Even the people in the thread were like, yo, one guy was like, I've never been this afraid of a rookie before. He's different. He's different. He's a different animal.
But I just love how not cocky he is. That he's really, I'm never going to make this about religion, but he's a true man of God, and he connects with Scary Terry over that, which, if whatever's going to get them to bond and get together in that first year and get that chemistry, I'm for it, right? So, I'm personally Jewish, so I've got no dog in the fight. But I do think that it is a bond that has really brought them together and created this energy between them and other players on the team that is undeniable. And it's something that I haven't seen, forever, maybe ever in my fandom of watching this team, because I don't really remember the 90s very well, because I was pretty young. But this to me is so different than anything we've seen before. And he is just so humble and poised. And people saying this poised part, but it's so incredible to watch somebody go through such accolades and such moments. And he was asked about the Pro Bowl, and he's like, that'd be cool, but if not, there'll be other years. Like most people, don't act that way, right? They at some point get excited for their own who they are. And he was interviewed after this game, and he was asked about, on the outside, you seem so calm. How is it on the inside? He said, I'm excited right now, but this is who I am.
He stays medium. He stays medium. That's why I love him. And Robbie,
everybody's jumping around. He's just like, okay, what's next?
Pretty much. And Robbie, when you said, mentioned that you were Jewish, I had a flashback. And I got to do it. We haven't done it in a long time. But if you watch the show and we had our special guest, Black GOP, come on, RIP, he would always have to come on and say, "This is Robbie. He's white and he's Jewish." And I just felt like I had to get that. Once you said that, I had a flashback. I said, I got to say that. I hadn't done it. We haven't heard that in a long time, but I miss when GOP used to do that. So I felt like I had to shout that out to the man, our Black GOP, man.
I know he's looking down right now at this moment, 9 years later, what we were able to start all together and see us all get to be together on one screen, which is, to my knowledge, I don't think all five of us had actually been shared the screen, before at the same time. And it just makes me so happy that all these years later that we could do it. And for such a momentous moment in both the team history, the podcast history, and it's so great to be able to share it with all you guys.
I'm going to leave y'all with a thought.
Yes, sir.
It's my message to the Eagles fans, the Eagles coaches, the Eagles media, and the players. We are like Doc Holliday right now. We're your Huckleberry. We have nothing to lose. We coming Sunday. You ready? Because we are. Period.
I was just fooling. Well, I was. Yeah, brother. It's going to be a hell of a game. I'm ready. If anybody want to come through and watch, I got, like I said, a couple of folks coming over. One Eagle fan right now. I know I got a couple of Commanders fans, so they wanted to come through. So might do something, have some festivity or something. If you're interested, hit me up. If I like you, I might invite you. If I don't, you can watch at home at yourself.
Hey, CP3, you already know.
Hey, brother. All right, bet.
That's all I gotta say to you. You already know.
You know where I is, brother. You know where I is.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
Nice. All right. I'm gonna let Sith go. We're actually gonna bring Arun in, and we're gonna talk about some of the other games real quick that happened this weekend. You guys can all choose now if you want to jump or not. I see.
I'm about to jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to jump. I got an early meeting out in Loudoun County for almost 8 hours tomorrow. So yeah, I got it.
Oh,
So y'all be good. Have a good rest of the show. Hell to the Commanders, and I will see y'all next week when we're talking about the Commanders going to the Super Bowl because
I'll be
there
here
is
next
no
week
if.
also.
Nice.
I'll be here also.
Nice.
All right, man. Y'all be good. I'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.
y'all
And-
take it easy. Sith's Basement is coming Sunday, 5 p.m. Now it'll be 51 because I turn 51 next week. Holy crap.
Oh, happy early birthday.
The best film of every year of my lifetime, including last year. And last year's movie, people are going to be shocked by it because of all the movies I've watched and everything. So that'll be going on. I've also got a TikTok that will put out tomorrow, because Champ put out some really good golf clips today. So tomorrow we'll put out a wrestling question tomorrow out on the No Spots TikTok. And also this Friday night, Champ and I will be on episode 271, I believe, right, Champ?
Yep.
Hey, Champ, are we going to do Saturday night's main event or no?
Nah.
Bet.
The commercials did just, I can't with the commercials.
Yeah. I was like, well, I could tell them about the shitty movie I saw, Wolfman, yesterday, but that's only one commercial break. And by then, Champ's going to be like, yo, bro, nah, man, we good.
Well, Sith, I love having you on, just like we did 9 years ago. Gotten to see a lot of ups and downs of this franchise, a couple of different name changes. It's exciting to see that we're in the NFC Championship and to celebrate this special moment for sure with all of you guys. And we'll see you next week, and hopefully after a W.
Yep. Love you guys. Talk to you next week. But get everyone. Take it easy.
All right, thank you. And with that, we're going to bring in Arun, and we're going to switch gears and talk a little bit of just general NFL action. So I'm not going to just talk about the Ravens. I'm not going to put the Ravens graphic up. I'm going to go through all three of these games fairly quickly. The other ones, Ravens had a tremendous season. Our friend Tim isn't going to be joining us tonight, but I do appreciate all of the Ravens coverage he's given us this week. it's heartbreaking. You know, a couple of dropped passes that are unexpected, a dropped 2-point conversion that cost them the game in the end. I'm gonna go to Arun, who's just joining us. I hope that you're having a good night. And Arun, what are some of your thoughts on the miscues for the Ravens in such a close game?
Yeah, they didn't really play like a completely clean game, and it was tough because the weather is really cold. But the ball to Andrews was put right on the money, and earlier in the game, Derrick Henry dropped a pass, which also cost them points. So I think the Ravens, like somebody was going to lose that game, and they're going to say like maybe Lamar can't win the big one, but it wasn't his fault. Like Andrews had a bad game. He kind of had a slow start to the season, and maybe if he played better at the beginning of the season, they would have had home field advantage in this game. But I think the Ravens don't. I think the Ravens and the Bills are two great teams. I don't really think the loser should feel that bad, other than it sucks to be eliminated.
Yeah, they're both two teams that have done so well in this Kansas City era, but have not gotten, to the big game, and it's tough. I'll be rooting for Buffalo obviously next week, as I said from the beginning. I'll root for the winner of this over Kansas City for sure. But just rough. I feel like the weather really doomed them. In some ways, it really helped Buffalo and Philly this week in a lot of ways, where I think if it hadn't been snowing in both of those games, there's a chance that both of them go a different direction. Arun, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the Rams game, it could have gone. That's another game that came down to the last drive. Like my friend texted me, look forward to playing the Eagles, and there was still time left in the clock, and they scored a touchdown, and then they got the ball back surprisingly, and after Saquon had that huge run, people thought this game was over. But I think Stafford held onto the ball too long in the pocket, ultimately cost them the game. And yeah, like the weather was definitely a factor. The Eagles did play, and they had a much better record, but I think the weather definitely had a factor in that game. I agree.
Yeah, Champ, did you watch any of the other games this week?
Actually, I listened to the Eagles Rams game because I was doing Lyft on Sunday in the sleet, freezing rain and snow, and ended up in DC for like an hour and a half dealing with all the traffic from all the closures for the inauguration. Thanks, Orange. So I was dealing with that, but I got a subscription to Sirius so I can listen to football games while I do Lyft, at least during the playoffs. And from what I was hearing, it seems like Philly, like I said, Philly is ripe for the taking in a show in this game against the Rams. The Rams, again, don't seem to be a cold weather team. They haven't been a cold weather team for decades because remember, when they left LA the first time, they were in St. Louis, they were in a dome. And then they moved back to LA and they've been in LA where it's hardly, I don't think it gets under 50 degrees. And so it was clear that they're not built to be a cold weather team, and so they went into they had this game. The snow started falling during the game, and they were able. They were resilient, and they were resilient enough to stay in it. They had a chance to win it at the end, but they just couldn't do it. Philly's defense, they would stand up to it. I didn't see much of the Buffalo Baltimore game. I was listening to that one as well because I was finishing up driving Lyft, and then when I came home, I forgot what the heck I was doing. Oh no, I was watching Collision for AEW because even though we already did the podcast, I still wanted to watch it. But from what I was seeing there, it seemed like they couldn't get Derrick Henry going too much. He had spurts where he was getting it going. He had spurts, but it wasn't sustained enough for them to keep Josh Allen, that offense, off the field long enough to be able to make an impact. And I think that's what really ultimately cost them. Yes, everybody's going to talk about Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point conversion pass in the end zone that was right on him. Everybody's going to talk about that, but the totality of everything was that Derrick Henry is partly the catalyst for that Ravens offense, along with Lamar Jackson and that zone read offense. That's the catalyst. And when you are able to kind of put a kibosh on that, you're able to really keep the Ravens from really doing any damage offensively. And I think that's what Buffalo was able to do. And now for the 9,900,000th time in the playoffs, we get Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen in the playoffs, in a championship.
Yeah. Oh, it's just, I hope the Buffalo finally gets it done. I just can't stress that enough. I'm so done with Kansas City. And it just, and it was when they started, I was for them. And it's funny, like this whole thing with Taylor Swift and the fandom and just like these bogus calls and just close games, they just find ways to win. I'm just kind of over it. I just, I feel like it does the sport disservice to keep them in it at this point. So I don't know.
By the way, congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes, national champions, first one since 2014. So 11 years off from their last one, they win one. So all the Buckeyes fans, shout out to y'all. OHIO.
Nice. I'm sure that Terry McLaurin is having the week of his life right now. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's great for him for sure. So Arun, you have any thoughts on the Kansas City game? I don't really want to get into it too much, but
yeah, the roughing the passer or whatever, that was kind of crazy when the two Texan defenders just basically rammed into each other and they basically just called a penalty on Houston. That was pretty ridiculous. And I don't know, it may not have made a big difference, but that's what you're going against with Buffalo. And I think even in the last Super Bowl, the fans were complaining, the other team. So it's like, we'll see what happens.
I just want fresh blood. I just want it to be exciting and new. Like I just want a Super Bowl that I can actually get behind versus like, I don't know. It's hard with Kansas City, and I just feel like Kelsey's a cheat code. Like the second the playoffs start, he just gets 100 yards and a touchdown or two every game, it seems, and it just seems to be like nothing anyone can do about it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater, but I don't find three-peats very exciting, and I like parity in football, especially a sport where there's just so few games, to get to watch and so few, to get through the rounds. And I just would like a Super Bowl that would not have Kansas City at least for a year, to get away from that. But yeah, congratulations to Ohio State. I mean, they kind of dominated most of this game. Then it got close, and then they had that big bomb as you talked about, and able to score a field goal there to win it. And sort of, it's kind of exciting for them because in the old system, Ohio State would never even gotten a chance this year to win a championship because he's not from the SEC. They're not from the SEC, and there's not thought of in the same sort of vein as some of the other teams that were above them in the standings. But it's pretty exciting. We're gonna have Davey is eating a sandwich join us in a couple of minutes to discuss it further, and after we do a bit of a wrestling segment. But let's just preview the two championship games. We talked about the Eagles Commanders game a bit, but I do want to get Arun's thoughts on the upcoming game.
Yeah, the Eagles, this is the third time they've played the Eagles. Last time Hurts got injured, but they were as you guys already mentioned, Washington committed 5 turnovers, and also there were some pretty ridiculous pass interference calls in that game on Lattimore. 2 of the 3 were pretty questionable. I think the key to the game will be how they can slow down Saquon Barkley. Last week they didn't really slow down Gibbs, but maybe they can force Hurts into some turnovers like Jared Goff, and that could be a pathway to win. And this game will be definitely tougher because outdoors and on the road. And although we have beaten the Eagles, like even when they were really bad with Ron Rivera, so it is possible to definitely win this game.
Yeah, Champ, what are your thoughts on this one?
I have to echo what Arun is saying about containing Saquon Barkley. I don't say stop because Saquon is on another level when it comes to running backs, and he's absolutely making the Giants look like fools for letting him walk. Because now he's one game away from a Super Bowl, while they're sitting at home wondering who they're going to bring into this organization that's going to help them and whatnot. But we definitely have to find a way to contain Barkley, and these DBs are definitely going to have to be on their toes with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Marcus Lattimore is definitely is going to have to really step up his game and show why he's been a previous All-Pro defensive back, dealing with these receivers out there. Clearly, we have a good formula of in the secondary with Sam Still, with Lattimore, with Jeremy Chin, with Igubanane, all of them back there is going to give that those wide receivers fits. And you also have to think about the X factor, which is Dallas Goedert, who has already proven that he'll embarrass somebody in an open field if you try to tackle him in an open field by yourself. So essentially, defense has got to be bend but don't break. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they just got to keep doing what they've been doing the last few weeks. Continue to move Jayden Daniels around in the pocket, give him those short to intermediate throws, make the defense keep everything in front of them, and let the receivers get yak yards to really tire them out. Get B-Rob going early, get Eckler in there as a change of pace, and also get Eckler involved in the passing game as well. And I think that if you put all of that together, we could be talking about the first Super Bowl appearance for the Commanders since 1991, 1992, which is amazing to even think about that. And it's crazy to even think about given the fact that, and I said this multiple times on your post game on Saturday after the game, we were a 4-win team last season. We were a 4-win team last season, and now we are one game away from heading to New Orleans and playing in the Super Bowl for a chance to get a 4th Super Bowl championship for this franchise. And one other thing, and then I'll shut up. It's crazy to think that in 1991-92, this team led the league in both offense, defense, and special teams. And then 33 years later, we're a top 10 offense. Yeah, we're a middle of the road defense, granted, but it's almost like it's almost destiny that 33 years after we had one of the best teams in the NFL and we deservedly won a Super Bowl, beating out Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills, we turn around and now we're in this situation. It's crazy that year that the Buffalo Bills made the Super Bowl, they almost didn't make it because they didn't even make it out of the wild card round because they were down 35-3 in the second half to the Houston Oilers, and the Houston Oilers choked it away. In one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history. I remember watching that game too, and I was 9, and I remember watching that game. It was incredible watching Houston and they had Warren freaking Moon at quarterback, and the Buffalo Bills had Frank Wright because Jim Kelly got injured, and they almost didn't make the Super Bowl, but they did, and then they ended up running into a buzzsaw that was the Washington Redskins that were known as at the time. But I think that this is a winnable game. Am I nervous? Absolutely. Because when we went to Philly this year, we got our asses whooped. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I have cautious optimism that we can do what we can do in Philly. And I'm going to just say the same phrase that Rev T has put out there since the beginning of the season and has continued to put out there. And now it's merch, which, by the way, I bought, Robbie, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
I bought a shirt and a hoodie that's going to be here next week, so you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, this is our highest selling merch of the new store. So shout out to all the people that bought it. You, Benson, Tina, and I think others maybe too. So thank you everyone for checking out. I have the link in chat.
But the bottom line is, why not us? Why not us? Gil said earlier, we've been playing with house money all season long. And Sis said it earlier, we have nothing to lose. We have everything to gain, nothing to lose. No one thought we would get this far. No one thought we'd make the playoffs. So if we fall on our faces on Sunday, it doesn't even matter because we made it farther than anyone thought we would. So
I agree with
go out there and do it.
I agree with almost all of that, except for it's the Eagles, and us losing to the Eagles will always hurt to me.
It will.
What it is, whatever situation, especially for so much on the line. In some ways it was going to be easier to stomach a loss to the number 1 Lions than I think it would be to lose to the Eagles for sure. Unless, if it's close, it's gonna be hard. If it's a blowout, it's not gonna be easy either, or be maybe more understandable. But I don't know. Arun, what are your thoughts on that?
I also think it would have been easier to stomach a loss against the Rams and the Eagles. That's what I was like.
Yeah,
Please, I want to play. I didn't know the Rams were necessarily going to be easier to beat, but if we lost to the Rams, and like it would hurt less than losing to the Eagles.
for sure.
And yeah,
Although their coach could have been ours a long time ago. So that is
yeah.
always an interesting, endeavor. So
I will say I would have preferred to go to Arizona than to Philly. I'm not gonna lie to you.
yeah.
I would have preferred warm weather than cold weather.
Also on the turf, which would be good and bad because it'd be an advantage for Jane Daniels, but also an advantage for Saquon. So it's a double-edged sword in some way. So it'll be interesting. All right, real quick, before we get Arun out of here, I do want to get your guys' thoughts on the other side, Buffalo and Kansas City. Do you think Buffalo can finally do it, or do you think Kansas City is just too much? I'll start with Arun.
I don't know. Like the Chiefs haven't looked like that good in the regular season, but they always turn it up another level in the playoffs. But I think this like Buffalo team, they're gonna have to go, I believe, on the road to play Kansas City, so that makes it a little
Yes.
bit tougher.
Yeah.
I kind of want to say this is gonna be like a really close game. I might take Buffalo, I think, but I don't. I'm wouldn't really if Kansas City wins with the reps and the calls, and it's probably going to be KC if the refs get involved. So maybe it's just going to be KC in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, so I was pulling up the lines just because I wanted to bring that into it. The Eagles have a 5.5, on them, and Kansas City is 1.5, which is barely anything in the playoffs with home field advantage when you think
So
about
they
it.
probably just think that Buffalo's like if this was a neutral field, then they'd probably just pick Buffalo to win this game.
That's
So
interesting.
they so like I think if Buffalo gets up a lot of points, they can win because Kansas City's offense hasn't been as explosive this season. So they just need to score points and not give up like 48 like they did against Detroit. So I think they'll have a really good shot. And Allen has played the Chiefs well. Their defense hasn't played them well though. So see what happens.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Buffalo is one of their two losses, right?
Yeah,
So the Buffalo's beaten them before. That was in Buffalo.
Buffalo.
So that is definitely an advantage. But still, like knowing you've beat a team is sometimes psychologically can be helpful to
I
some.
think the Ravens they beat the Chiefs too in the regular season. I want to say last year, and then they lost in the playoffs. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that sounds like that actually might be right. So, all right, Ken, what are your thoughts on the AFC Championship?
I mean, Buffalo, they have all the tools necessary to beat this team. And the Kansas City Chiefs are probably one of the not so hot looking 14-2 teams I've seen going into these playoffs. I mean, a lot of their wins were not that impressive. And then Patrick Mahomes, middle of the season, came out and said, "I want to be in closer game. I want to have blowouts, stuff like that." Because they've been in a lot of close games. I think that if they get into a close game with Buffalo, it's not going to work out in their favor. Um, and I think that Buffalo, one of the what they need to do is James Cook has got to get going. They got to get the run game going because they got to keep Mahomes and that offense off the field as long as possible and wear out that defense so that way they can go keep their defense rested and be able to get after Mahomes and whatnot because we all know what the Kansas City Chiefs are capable of. We know this. We've seen it so many times. We know what they're capable of. So Buffalo needs to establish the run game and own time of possession because that way they can keep Mahomes and that offense off the field as long as possible and be able to control the clock and be able to control the game. If they're going having a lot of 3 and outs and not holding on to the ball long enough, yeah, no, they're not going to win this game at all. It's going to be KC in the Super Bowl for yet again, and then everybody's going to be talking about three-peat. It's never been done. Three-peat. Though it'd be funny if the Commanders beat the Eagles and it's the Commanders and the Chiefs, and then we're gonna be like, yeah, three-peat my ass. Why not us?
Right. Yeah. Then of course I saw already on Facebook someone said if it's that battle, the name change is gonna be such a huge topic, right? The team formerly known as the Redskins versus the Chiefs, right? So it's gonna be interesting for sure. Like how could that not
The Native American time.
right, exactly. So, all right. With that, I'm gonna let Arun go. Arun did have a recent podcast that he did on the Hey Arun show. So you definitely check that out as well. But Arun, let people know anything else before we let you go.
Yeah, I did 3 episodes last week, so I'm starting to get back being more regular and just subscribe on Spotify or your Apple podcasts, and I'll try to be more consistent. Just even though they're probably going to be like 10 or 15 minutes, not anything crazy, but
I kind of like the short hits. It's kind of like a quick hit with Arun. Like, just want a quick take. There you go. I kind of enjoy that.
yeah. I didn't have a chance to put it out. I'll probably put it out either tonight or tomorrow, but I'll definitely try to put out like episodes more consistently. And I'm actually wearing a 2013 jersey, but it's not RG3, it's Alfred Morris.
Nice.
I'm actually wearing RG3 just for you, Arun.
Yeah. Arun used AI to create a wonderful poem earlier this week.
Oh my God.
That was pretty good. And shout out to RG3, who's been doing some great videos. He was so excited after the win. He was out running while vlogging, and the people were like staring at him while he was so jazzed up about it. So he's been a good cheerleader for the team. So so that's exciting for sure. Ken, real quickly, got a quick question for you. Do you want to?
Yes.
I'm going to do a quick segment with Davey's eating a sandwich. Do you want to do your wrestling first and get off, or do you want me to do my segment with him and then come back and do wrestling after that? It's up to you.
We can do wrestling now and whatnot. So that way, because I do, I'm back to work tomorrow after having a day off and stuff like that. So I would like to do the wrestling now.
Yeah, for sure. Go for it. We had a good night in Raw. I thought that there was some pretty good matches. And what is your quick takeaway on that?
Yeah, I mean, really solid episode of Raw. Once again, they ended it a little after 10:30. So again, not a 3-hour show, a little over 2.5 hours. So really, really good episode. They're really keeping the momentum going with this as they got Saturday night's main event this coming Saturday. They've added another match to it. Rhea Ripley, after getting attacked before the show, and then got her revenge on Nia Jax. It's gonna be Nia versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship at Saturday night's main event. Should be a really good matchup. Of course, you're going to have KO and Cody signing the contract for their title match at the Royal Rumble. It's going to be a ladder match. You got Walter versus Jey Uso for the world title. Braun Breaker versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental title. Jacob Fatu going up against Braun Strowman. So they've really set up a lot of really good matches coming up for Saturday night's main event. Should be a really good show, and the rest of the week should be really good. New Japan wise, they're getting ready to start their New Beginning tour. They had a special event on Sunday produced by wrestling legend Yuji Nagata to celebrate his 40 years in the sport of professional wrestling, and they had a main event which he teamed with Hiroshi Tanahashi, which looks like it's going to be for the last time as Tanahashi plans to retire next year, and so they had that against the House of Torture, and so a lot's going on. TNA just had their pay-per-view, which was Genesis. And only championship that changed hands on that night was Joe Hendry finally winning the TNA World Championship, defeating the former Dolph Ziggler, now known by his real name of Nick Nemeth, for the TNA World title in the main event. JBL made an appearance and got involved in the matchup. And it's funny because he made an appearance that was in the matchup and then showed up for Raw the next night, but that doesn't matter because TNA and WWE have a partnership, so there's that. But a lot's going to happen. So if you want to hear about what's going on this week, plus what happened on Genesis, you can check out the No Spots podcast this coming Friday, streaming live on Twitch. We're going to talk about Genesis. We're going to get you ready for Saturday night's main event. We're going to talk about all the build towards Saturday night's main event, and the fallout from Genesis as TNA is also in Dallas, just like WWE was for Raw. So it made a lot of sense. And so we're going to talk about all that Friday, streaming live on Twitch. So make sure you are checking that out. The audio will go up on Saturday if you cannot make the live stream.
So real quickly, Champ, before I let you go, what time are you doing it on Friday?
It'll be around 7 p.m. Eastern time.
So
I always
before SmackDown does.
Well, no, we'll be still recording when SmackDown is on. Only reason why I always say 7 when it's during the week is because I get off of work at like 5:30. I like to give myself some time to be able to get prepped and get ready for the podcast and stuff like that. So I always say 7 and things like that. And the only reason why we're not doing it on Saturday is because of Saturday night's main event and stuff like that. So it'll be Friday around 7. It'll be during SmackDown. So, you can have us on your computer and you can have SmackDown on whatever monitor you have if you have multiple monitors.
You guys watch SmackDown live, or you're going to just record it and watch that part later?
Usually we'll usually be recording it and then watch it later, but more recently I usually watch it live, but I keep the recording in case I want to go back and watch it. And the reason why I started watching
main event, I figured if you're previewing Saturday Night event, something could happen during SmackDown that might be related. I was thinking, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, usually they might add something, or something might come up that could add to accentuate what's already on the card and stuff like that. And the other reason why I watch it live is because usually on Fridays this past year on Fridays I'm doing the New Japan podcast with my boy Sage, and he's usually watching it live and he'll react to something without saying what it is. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I need to be watching this live so I know what he's reacting to and stuff like that. By the way, NXT is actually coming to DC February the 15th.
Yeah,
and Vengeance Day. Myself and Sage are going.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought the tickets when they went out for pre-sale. I bought tickets, so me and Sage will be there for Vengeance Day.
Have you ever remote streamed?
No.
You know that you can do it on the Twitch app. You could actually do like a live in person, just even like a promo outside of it if you wanted to.
I know that's a possibility, but a lot of times I don't even remember doing that. I just be getting there and just be getting in my seat and chilling.
Yeah, so it's just if you ever wanted to get there early and cut a promo before, that you could then be saved and you can always grab it later on Twitch. I just wanted you to know that that's possible on Twitch, because I was starting to do that when going to football games recently, and it's been kind of cool just to have as a cool clip to go back to, and even if you want to chop it up later.
Now, Robbie, daggone well I don't do the whole video editing stuff because that stuff's too complicated for me.
You can send it to me to do later. How about that? We can even put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
All right, it's just an idea because it's a cool event. But thank you both, Champ and Arun. It's been such an amazing run so far. I look forward to breaking down next week's results, no matter what it is. And either way, we'll be proud. But hopefully, we'll get the big W over the Eagles.
Absolutely. Gokigenyo, sayonara.
All right.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And with that, we're going to bring in Davey. Davey is eating a sandwich. And for people who don't know, I'm going to do the Davey command. And there you go. So first of all, for people that don't know, Davey is in California, fairly close to where like the fires and stuff are happening. And so I want to check with you. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm still safe. I'm holding up. So thanks for asking. I did have to evacuate for a few days, but it was not a mandatory evacuation, but still kind of pretty scary situation. I did have a video. I didn't put it on Discord or anything, but I had video of like the fire in the mountain. It's like right over here. Like I saw it. I saw the smoke and like that. Like you can see like the orange glow of the fire burning like right there. It was pretty scary for a while, but doing all right. Air's getting better, and just happy to still have a home and still be alive, I guess.
Yeah. So are the fires dissipating, or are they still as strong as they were, or was
No, it's dissipating now. I mean, it's been almost 2 weeks now. The containment levels have been increasing for both fires. The Eden fire is almost fully contained, and I think we're about 50% with the Palisades fire, which is massive. Like 22,000 acres have burned, so that is going to take a while to contain. But I don't think the threat to any homes exists at this point. But since the winds tend to shift and everything, you never truly know. But as of the moment, it looks like it's out of the threat of burning anything further. But it's already burned so much. It's been so devastating to see. But everybody's seeing that by now. It's hard. It's unbelievable to really think about it.
yeah. Um, I just got a scoreboard update. Unfortunately, the Kings are down 2-0 to the
Yeah,
Penguins.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I have a friend who actually lives in LA also. And he's at the game tonight, and his only comment to me before he went in, it was like, "Man, there are a lot of Penguins fans here." And I was like, "Oh,
No,
that
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Man. They're big. They're a big deal. Like, who's at the game? Like, who is someone we've been
uh
on?
I don't he's never been on the show, but he did win this year's title for Pick'em. So shout out to Pete. Pete was actually my best man at my wedding, and one of my best friends in college, and
Yeah,
he's who I was out there visiting when I was last out in LA a couple of years back.
yeah.
And so yeah,
Yeah, you said you visited him, right?
yeah.
Like
So
last year? That was pretty good.
was it last year we went to Disneyland? I guess that must have been. Yeah, it was a year ago spring break. So almost 2 years, I guess. So this spring break will be 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a rough time out there. So yeah, I put a link in the chat. Also, if you're watching on other platforms, the link should be in the description if it worked correctly. Just Joanne C, who is a Twitch streamer here, is a musician, created a rally for the Red Cross for Twitch streamers, and anybody can be a part of it and share that link. And I shared it as well. And if anyone has any extra money, they can put it on there. I did say if anyone donates and then does a highlighted message and lets me know, I'll do push-ups based on how much you give. And
You didn't think about the push-ups. Did you decide that before the show?
I did. I have not mentioned it many times during the show because a lot's been going on. But
I say for push-ups. That's what.
but I will have it open for this segment as well. I
Okay.
did mention it at the top of the show. But I will do some sort of workout, and I do not work out. So there will be, and I will put the camera on me so you can make fun of my form and everything. If people do donate to that. So yeah, just let me know if that is. And I know that Davey was able to raise a lot of money for it earlier. Last week, I guess it was with Kenny from Prog Rock Jukebox. And is that his name now? Prog Rock Jukebox? I think that's what it is.
Prog Rock Piano Bar.
Piano Bar. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Old habits die hard. Prog Rock Piano Bar is his handle now on Twitch. But he's also been part of the Jukesters and many other things. And you can find him on Kennedy's Adventures on Instagram. And he travels the world. And it was cool. He was able to join you from Mexico and be a part of that. And had a great idea where he played some. Uh, Davey had some other guests on guessing songs as well. So a great cause. And if anybody has any additional money to give, the link is in chat or in the description. So I really would appreciate that. And my heart goes to everybody that's affected in these fires for sure. Let's talk about the national championship game for football. It was interesting. Notre Dame took an early lead. Ohio State dominated the second quarter. It got close for a time, and then Ohio State did end up winning, by 11 points. But what are your thoughts on now that we've seen the full format, now that there's multiple rounds, and a team that may have not been one of the top seeded teams ended up winning the championship? What are your thoughts through this whole thing?
I think what they gotta do is they have to think about like maybe getting rid of that weekend that bye week idea. And I don't know how they'll do that. I'm assuming they would just expand the playoff more, but it killed a lot of those teams. Like the people who had the byes, like Georgia looked very flat. And same scenario for let me see who else had the fun. Oh, right. I think Boise State, but Boise State just wasn't that great. I think they earned it, but that bye week obviously didn't help them. But Georgia was probably the most obvious example of that, and I think Oregon too. Like they just didn't look like they. I don't even. I don't want to say they weren't prepared, but they seemed overwhelmed by that game when Ohio State got going. And you got to give Ohio State a lot of credit there, but it was obvious that the bye week seemed to be more of a negative than a positive.
So you think you extend it to 16 and make those top
Yeah,
four teams play the bottom four, and they at least play a game to keep it
yeah,
going?
yeah. I love that idea. But I think the overall idea, the overall structure is really been a big win. Like I think it's been I mean, it's really given a very even, a very open playing field, and I think the overall objective seems to have been a success. But the game quality has been almost I think almost entirely been blowouts. Like this game did have a little bit of juice at the end, but really for all intents and purposes, that was a blowout too. I think Notre Dame just kind of jumped into it a little bit. They almost covered the spread, but still wound up being a pretty decisive win for Ohio State in the end. So um, I'm not sure if there's any avoiding that, but I think at least you have a scenario where you could slip during the season and you could still rally and make a comeback. And I think that's the big message you get from this format. And that's why teams like Notre Dame and Ohio State were able to make that run. I think heard from my friends that if it were the previous format, they wouldn't even have made the playoff at all.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
for
even
sure.
been in it. So that's kind of nuts to think about, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. And I agree. I like the idea of expanding it. We have more teams, less time off, more football, which is always exciting, especially in those early round, which could only add to the excitement. ESPN has no shortage of channels to put it on. I think that would be good. I also think I would have been happy because I think the Aggies may have been one of those teams to make it on the fringe. And how exciting would that have been if one of the early round games was Texas versus A&M is an early round, like, secondary game or something, like that would have been exciting as hell. So, because I would have loved that rematch, and I'm just so excited they get to play each other every year again. It was the highlight for college football this year for me, was the return of that series. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. The SEC did so terribly in this, and also it's so interesting because the teams that the colleges put out for the postseason isn't necessarily the same teams that are put out for the regular season. They hold people back. They announce themselves for the NFL, and it's interesting because sometimes you get a new quarterback that hasn't even been playing most of the games in some of these team situations, and some big players sitting out. So it changes the dynamic a lot in these playoffs, and so
Do
be
you think
interesting.
it affected the playoffs though? Because like I thought that most of the quarterbacks from these teams that were in the playoffs were pretty much in there, right? Like I don't
No, I
think
think there was like one or two I remember in that first round that were like not the starting quarterback that they like,
maybe. Yeah.
yeah, rested. But it's been 3 weeks now, so I can't give you the exact names. But I do remember seeing that once or twice where I was like, oh, it's interesting, because people don't want to get injured and ruin their chance at a big spot, and because like yes they're getting paid now, but it's nothing.
Oh, you know what? Georgia was a good
Georgia,
example,
that
but
was
that's
it.
because that's because he was hurt. He was hurt. Like he couldn't.
I thought he was still cleared to play and decided not to. No?
We can go back and I can go back and look that up, but
Yeah. I
but I
don't
thought
know.
he was hurt. I thought he was hurt because like
I
the,
thought
the the guy who had never started a game, he never started a game. Like it
right,
wasn't
but
a good setup for him.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe he was hurt. Maybe I just missed that. But for some reason I thought that and in previous years it has been a big issue. I
Right,
think
right.
now that they're getting paid at the college level, maybe that will become less of an issue, but I still
Yeah.
think these contracts and opportunities are so big in the NFL that, they're looking out for their future more than necessarily a school winning a national championship. Yeah, anyway, it's interesting. I'm happy for Ohio State. I'm really happy. We were talking about it earlier. I'm just really happy for Scary Terry, who went to Ohio State and got to the NFC Championship in the same week. So anything good vibes going towards him, going towards this Eagles game, in my mind is great. So I'm happy that he's having a good week. I know that you weren't on for the segment, but what were some of your thoughts on the NFL playoffs this weekend?
I can't really add anything. You always crush it with those segments. Like, I mean, your Commanders brethren were fired up. That was a great spot. Like,
Thank you.
and you should be. I mean, it's been as Stuart and I were getting into in DMs. Like, it's been since the 1991 season. So that's
Yeah, 33
three,
years.
4 years ago. I mean, yeah, you would be fired. I would be fired up too. I mean, this is exciting stuff.
Yeah. I just so didn't see it coming. Like I poll all of the people that are on my team, that are all diehard, pretty much Commanders fans, right? And just to
Right.
get a pulse of the team, I always make a graphic every year to start. I want to see where we are at the end compared to what we thought at the beginning. And I was the low ball estimate was 7 wins of the entire round table. I think there was I'd say there was 6 or 8 people in this thing, and everyone else had 10 or 11 wins. And I was like, how are we going from 4 wins to 11 wins? I thought they were crazy. And we went to 12, and now we've
Yeah.
won 2 more.
Yeah.
So um just pretty shocking stuff in my mind.
I guess that just goes to show you how good Jaden Daniels is. I mean, you're really looking at a special talent, and not only just like he's so good, but he's so accurate with his passes, and he can get it downfield so effortlessly. But his leadership abilities and what he can see on the field, his vision is incredible. Like, who would have guessed all that would have happened in a rookie season? Like, he really bucked a lot of trends. Like, for example, the rookie playoff quarterbacks usually don't do well in the first round. I was pretty sure that Tampa Bay was going to win that game, and they came out. It was a tough game, and they won that one. And I'm like, wow. From that point on, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance here against Detroit. I even told you that. I mean, you said that CP3 had like the bold prediction. He was calling a shot, and I'm like, I didn't think it was that bold. I really thought they could have done it too.
Yeah, it's so amazing though. I do think that the Eagles defense is better than the injured Lions defense, and I'm
Right.
still so scared of Saquon Barkley. Just he is such a force to be reckoned with. He's having one of those iconic seasons, and I don't know. Like I think it could be a shootout, and we could still win a shootout in theory. But I think that my key to success is go back to that Tampa Bay game and where they really grinded on the clock and really just don't give the Eagles more possessions. Like they gave them 5 bonus possessions last time we played them, and somehow we still won, which should make Eagles fans a little nervous, right? Like we gave 5 turnovers and but still, like we're not going to give that many turnovers. I hope, and we still just got to limit the number of possessions that they get.
Well, I think the just as big, I think, for Washington is they need to bring the hurt on Jalen. Like and I know that it's inevitable you make a pun out of that, but but you got to do this. Basically, do the same thing they did with. They got to do the same thing they did with Jared Goff. Like, just bring everybody on him. Make because the thing about it is, like you said, the best way for Philadelphia to score is by running the ball. Well, force Jalen to throw. He holds on to the ball way too long. Did you notice that in the last game against the Rams? Like, he got sacked way more times than he should have because he just holds on the ball
He's lucky he
forever.
has the offensive line that he does. It's interesting
Absolutely.
that
Like,
people are
that's the only
making
thing.
him
Yeah.
JD is the our I don't know. I think we have a quarterback that's carrying a team, and he's got a team that's carrying the quarterback. In my mind, right
No,
now,
that's a great call. That's a great
yeah,
call. Yeah.
I saw that earlier, and I was like, "That's such a good." I saw it on
Great
Facebook.
call.
I was like, "That's so true." I want to give a shout out. Thank you so much for the raid. Ghostly Miko with the raid and Penguin Superhero joining in as well. Welcome in, and thank you everyone for being a part of it. It's always great to have all of you guys here, and thanks to the mod for shouting out Ghost Miko as well. Yeah, we're just sort of having a tail end thing, conversation about well, so all different sorts of sports, but we're talking right now about the playoffs, which just have this surprising thing. I really thought going into this year the Ravens were going to take that next step, and the Commanders, I'd be super excited even if they made the playoffs. And I didn't expect the Commanders to be the one in the championship game and the Ravens to be out. And man, that was heartbreaking the next day. Like, I'm so happy for the Commanders, don't get me wrong, but I also
Wait, maybe real quick. How sick were you to your stomach when you saw Mark Andrews drop that 2-point conversion?
yeah,
Oh my
oh,
goodness.
just
Oh.
well, especially because he had made some boneheaded plays earlier, and so this
Mhm.
was his opportunity to get retribution, and it's right there. And I don't necessarily blame him for it. He slipped on the snow, and he couldn't get his bearings and himself
That's
back
rough.
on. It's just, oh,
Mhm.
I hate snowy conditions, because like it could really screw you. That's why I'm kind of happy, and I hope it stands in Philly that I'm fine at 43 degrees and no weather, because it gives both teams a chance. And I understand football's a game that's played in weather conditions and something you have to do, but I hate that for him that like he
Yeah.
get an opportunity to make that catch correctly, and I would have loved that game to go to overtime, and it's just a
Yeah, it was so
sucky way for it to
close.
go.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, Lamar had a little case of Jared Goffitis during
yeah.
that game. Like it's a rough day for both of those guys. But it happens, I suppose. The playoffs can be like that.
Yeah, it's crazy that snow really affected both of those games in a negative way. I really felt in 40-degree no precipitation with how those games were going, I would not have been shocked if they went the other way if it wasn't snowing. And it's just a bummer because I was rooting against both of them because we were talking about it earlier. I would feel less bad if the Commanders lose to LA than I will if they lose to the rival Eagles. Like
Yeah,
I will
I
still be
mean,
proud of the team, but like it's a rivalry game. It just hurts that much more. And
right, right. These are
um,
interesting though because teams are very familiar with each other, so I feel like the Commanders are gonna have a shot just for that reason. They already know it. They already figured out that they could move the ball on them. Granted, it was when they had Kenny Pickett, but they had that great comeback in that game, in the second game that they played against one another. So it's always possible. Like I said, I think they need to really, really bring. I don't know how much the Commanders blitz compared to other teams. Like, do you see them as a heavy blitzing team, or just they just usually go with their front four?
Yeah, mostly with their front four. They do some sort of blitzing, but it's not. I
Hmm.
wouldn't say that that's like their. It's not like what we're seeing with the Lions, where they seem to like blitz on every down. Yeah,
Right.
and I was kind of surprised by that at some point with the Lions. It was like I know that's kind of your MO, but they were definitely we were using that against them.
Well, right. I mean, and I we were talking about like that's where all the injuries they've had on defense finally caught up to them, and we knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when or what team it was going to be, but it was inevitably going to happen. Like that's just too many guys they've had on their defense that just aren't playing. Really good players too.
Yeah, it's just it was so interesting. I was watching a bunch of videos, about the Lions media before going into that game, and I guess some of them were clipped out of context, which happens. I've been in media for long enough to understand that. But they were saying some pretty like horrendous shit, like if he keeps on running out there, maybe he's gonna have to get hurt. Maybe you have to take a penalty to make him learn a lesson and
Wow.
just and people took that clip and I think it was taken out of context, but it is what it is, because I think there was a whole lead into that. But yeah, I was on that radio program today because I was off for MLK Day, and happy MLK Day. I know I haven't really mentioned that to anybody on this stream yet, but it was brutal because they are having to answer it from everybody, right? Because there was just tons of Commanders fans just trolling the shit out of this live stream. And understandably so, like you say shit like that. And also the other comment that they said was that, we're gonna beat the brakes off of you guys because they were making fun of us because after we won, there was a video of Commanders fans saying we want Lions, we want the Lions, but that's always our chant after every time we win, we want whoever is next, right? It's like been a thing. We haven't seen it in years, right? Because we don't often win big games, but it's been a thing that has gone on for a while. It's not a new thing. And so they're like, you don't really want us. We're going to beat the brakes off of you every day. And I'll stand by it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Doesn't matter. There's no way you're winning. We are 60 minutes from the NFC Championship game and nothing's going to stop us. And it's like that clip may have been out of context, but it was pretty self-explanatory. I was like,
Wait, who was it? This is the Detroitos?
yeah, exactly. And they were
Oh, those classic clowns. It's all good. I mean, here's the thing. It's like, is the Detroit Lions franchise still cursed after all this? Because you just had this idea that, God, this can't be, this seems too good to be true. Like they're just dominating everybody. They got the best record in the NFC. And you're like, gosh, but it is still the Lions, isn't it? Right at some point. And Jared Goff is still Jared Goff. And, we've seen in playoffs past, like he just turns into a pumpkin and you hate to say it, but he did it again. Like he had these awful throws, like
crazy
during
is
that
like
game.
we haven't had a game with that many turnovers the whole season. So
Right?
it's not
It was crazy. Right?
that's not even how our team is predicated. Like so, I mean, we had a rookie who had 2 of those 4 interceptions. It's not
Yeah.
like he had that many. Like so, I don't know. It's just like um, I just don't. I don't see the Eagles having that sort of same game plan. I think they're just gonna stick with the run until we can.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I have no idea. I remember. I think maybe earlier in the season I talked about this. I'm not sure if I talked about it with you, but maybe I did. But um, I don't remember the Commanders having a great defense in general.
Yeah, no, we haven't. But we have a lot
Yeah.
of
So
money
like,
to throw at it in the offseason, so I'm very excited about that.
right. So there's that. But if they could figure out a way to really force the issue on Hurts, that's going to be their key to winning. Maybe you would even just let Lamar, you just let Saquon run, have his way, but just don't give him like the big play. Just don't give him the big play. Um, it's not easy. That's not that easy to do. Their offensive line is really good, but
I
but
think
if,
build a wall behind the line in the sense of like let them get 4 to 6, but don't let them get
right,
like
right, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, like just you can run, but just don't go for touchdowns. And it's going to be cold, and it's going to be there's a that's kind of what they're going to try to do. That's the best chance to move the ball. Hurts' throwing ability, and even more so now with him probably being hurt, you want him to throw the ball. You want him to throw the ball. You want him to try to make long throws. And if you force him into those throws, he's probably going to struggle. So I feel like that's the key to the W. I don't know if they're going to pull it off, but I think they certainly have the tools. And certainly when the Commanders go out there on offense, they already know all these guys. They know the people on the other side of on the other team's defense. I feel like they're going to be able to put up some points too. So I think should be pretty good. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. I probably would lean the Eagles to win the game, but I honestly could see either team winning. What did you see the point spread on that? I didn't even check the
I
point
did. It
spread.
was 5.5 for
Yeah,
the
that's about right. That's about right. I
No,
think the
to
Commanders will
me,
be
it comes
there.
down to if Lattimore has a great game, right? Because the
Yeah.
first time he went against the Eagles was one of his first games back since he had come back from an injury. He had a rough game, but I think now he's seen them once, and now he can have a better opportunity the second time around. And so if he can really step up his game, that could really help us, especially with what you were saying before with the getting them to make mistakes in the passing game, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to be the guy that's going to help us down low with the running. I hope maybe Luvu can lay the hit on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any stopping Saquon Barkley, but I feel like he needs to. You need to punish him back to some extent to slow him down a little bit because if he just gets ahead of steam, in the second half he's just going to run all over you. I just don't.
Yeah, it's easier said than done trying to slow down the game and force Jalen to make the plays, but that's what you got to do. You got to make Jalen win the game, and if you do, then you're feeling pretty good about your chances there, right? So like we'll see how that goes. Um, Yeah, I'm very curious about this. Like, it could definitely be a scenario where it's a one score game, it's fourth quarter, and then you might even have like Jaden with the ball, like 4 minutes to go in the game. You love your chances then. Or it could be a blowout. I don't know. Maybe Saquon's too much. But that's kind of the beauty of it here because the teams are so familiar with one another, and and it'll create so many possibilities. Teams will get tight. I do think the Eagles will get tight in this game. I think they're going to play. Um, I think there will be a window for this game for watching. I just don't know when it's going to be, but can they get into that window and take the lead and then dictate the pace from there. Like you said, their defense isn't the greatest, so I don't know, but certainly they're going to be in it.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Eagles have a more complete all around team, but just Jane Daniels is such an he's unflappable, and so if they can keep it close through 3 quarters, they have a real
Mhm.
chance. That's really for me. If it's a
Yeah.
one touchdown game going into the fourth, there's a yeah, it's we've been in so many of those games. I really feel like it's such a huge advantage for us.
It's
So
kind of like normally that means, well, you aren't good enough to put away teams, but also if you've been in that many close games that you come away with wins, it's actually a good thing in the playoffs, right? Because it means that you know how to win close games. It's a pretty good spot.
yeah, he calls
So
it winning time, and he gets
yeah, yeah, for sure. I
so
think
like
it
that's
would
important.
be. It's kind of like they're not afraid of it. Like they embrace these close games, and they know how to execute in these spots. So I think
And
that's
and I love playing on the road in some ways because as the home team gets tight or the fans get tight, like if they get nervous, you can sense that energy of thousands of people
yeah.
around you are getting nervous. And our fans have traveled this year, so they're going to start getting louder, and then that's going to cause Philly fans will definitely dominate as they always will in that stadium. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of Commanders fans there. They've been traveling lately,
Mhm.
and it's not that far, and it'd be really interesting to see. They spent a lot of money for the Lions tickets, so why wouldn't they spend a lot of money for these, right? So
Yeah.
that Lions game was the most expensive non-Super Bowl game in the last 20 years, and for a football game,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, so just crazy. And it wasn't even close. Like to get in, it was basically $1,000 for the nosebleeds,
Wow.
which is wild that people.
But that just shows you how starved the Lions fans are, right? Like that just gives you an idea of just how much they've been really craving and how long it's been since they've never been to a Super Bowl, like ever. They haven't even made it in the game. So like it would have been pretty extraordinary territory if they made the NFC title game. But it's just like, God, you kind of feel for them, like, damn, it's just kind of no, I mean, not you guys, but I mean, like,
No, no,
I'm sure there's
I
people.
honestly did
No need
because
to apologize to the Commanders
yeah,
fans.
no, I rarely feel bad for the opponent in the way that I did in this one because I really
Yeah, yeah,
thought that the coach and the team, and I knew that they are going to lose those coordinators because a lot of them ran it back
yeah,
for one more year, and some of the players
yeah,
ran it back for one more year, and I know that a lot of their defensive players were hurt, and some of them will come back, but it's going to be a very different team next year, and it's kind of funny because their offensive coach was interviewed for the Commanders position. I don't know if you were listening in that part of our segment, but we were talking about it earlier that we asked him what his thoughts are on Jane Daniels. He's like, no, I want to go with some of the people you already have on staff. And they were like, yeah, well, we're not going to actually fly you. Like almost mid flight, they were asking him these sorts of questions before flying him out. And they were like, yeah, maybe you're not the right guy. And then he was making it seem like, oh, I don't want to go back to them. They have dysfunction. So it's funny how they both sides had very different ends of that story of what happened at the end of it. And he went back and was like, I always wanted to be at the Lions for one more year. And we got to be like, we need somebody.
yeah. Who was? Would you have bought that though if he said that? I would not have bought that. Like
Yeah.
he was
So
gone. Yeah,
yeah. But now he's gone. He's now with the
yeah.
Bears. And it'll be interesting to see what he does with Caleb Williams, and
I
the
mean, it's good
dysfunction
on
of
paper.
ownership. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is still the Bears.
That's so wild to me that they were 6-2, Davey. Or no, 4-2. I'm sorry, 4-2, and they played us. That we get that momentum from that crazy Hail Mary. We
Yeah.
go on a crazy run the rest of the season, and they don't win another game until the very end.
But that's because their coach is a clown. He is awful. he is really bad. Like, how do you blow a game when you're up by with like that little time left on the clock?
Yeah, he played that
Like, and he
terribly.
did that a lot of
And then
times.
for him to explain away that the play before that they got 15 yards isn't like
It
it
just
doesn't make a difference. I was like, sure it
Mhm.
does. It couldn't have thrown it that far. Like he barely threw it far, and then it had to be tipped and bounced. But if you were 10 yards back, that's a big difference.
I still remember how they tried to throw away the game at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. They found new ways to
They
do
are
it on
all
that run. It was quite embarrassing, but
yeah. But
yeah.
it's wild stuff. So I'm not sure if you guys covered the AFC game. Did you have any predictions for that?
We did briefly, but I do want to talk to you about that. I'm becoming a huge Buffalo fan because I really want a repeat of the '93 Super Bowl, and yeah, I because that would be just kind of what a story that would be, right? And I don't I just don't like Kansas City anymore. I'm kind of done with them.
Yeah, it's
What
fair.
what
I
what are you,
mean,
what what are
it's
your
been a
thoughts?
long road to this too, because I'm pretty sure like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. How long are we? When was the first show I was on with you? Like 3 years ago? 4 years ago? I think 4 years ago, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that 4 years ago we were down with the Chiefs, like we were good with them, like they're pretty cool. And with each year, we've just gotten less and less. We started to like them less and less, and now we're just completely done with them. I am too,
yeah,
and it took a long time to get to that. But when you just keep getting the benefit of the officiating on every game, on the littlest things, they just give you a penalty to extend the drive and give you a first down. Like this is just enough already. They're not even that good, like their offense honestly, it's pretty subpar. Like, who scares you out? Even Kelsey doesn't really scare me this
Kelsey
year.
bails them out. It's
Yeah,
all yeah,
for
all
sure. Like, it's like there's really nobody on that offense other than Mahomes that's really a threat at this point. Like, it's been a very lackluster offense. Their defense is pretty good, but it just seems like a team that has brought their sea level game. They look beatable every single week, including last week. And Houston even hung around with them. And honestly, I don't think they should have. And it just gives you an idea that, or I'm sorry, was that last week? Yeah, I think that was last. Yeah, that was this weekend. So, you're just waiting for that moment for them to finally like have all these mistakes catch up with them, you know. But maybe they don't because some teams are like that. Like if they've won so many times, you can bring in like a mediocre effort and still end up finding your way to the Super Bowl. Like this is ancient history, but I know the Bulls in their final run in the final three-peat with Jordan. They really weren't that. Apparently, they really weren't that great. Like Indiana really took them to the brink. They were very lucky to get through that. So I'm kind of thinking the same thing happens here with this team, but it's still tough to bet against Mahomes. I get it. He makes great plays. He's a wizard. I still think the Bills will win it, but I mean, wouldn't surprise me to see the Chiefs just sneak out of there with a W. But they really don't look good. Like I still would probably take the NFC team over them if they make the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
right. It'd be interesting because Buffalo has been one of those teams where they've done some great things in the regular season. They've done well in the playoffs, but then they just keep on losing to them. And it's just, I wonder if they're in their head. It kind of reminds me a lot of like the Capitals Penguins rivalry, where like the
Mm.
Penguins always beat the Capitals in the playoffs and then went on to win it all. But then the one year the Caps finally beat the Penguins, they win it all, right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo could break through here. That would be huge, for them to get that monkey off their back. And it's
Yeah.
I
I
meant
just wish they had better coaching. I've never been a fan of McDermott. He stinks. Like he shouldn't. That team would have won so many more games with that if they had a good coach. He's not a good coach. Like everybody keeps talking about he's a good coach. Like Tony Romo keeps making the point about how good he is. He's so great. I really don't think he's that good at all. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
like
that's crazy that Buffalo they went to four straight championships in the '90s and they lost all of them to NFC.
I
Yeah,
think
so
that's really related though, because that's the
I just think
discrepancy of talent between the AFC and the NFC in those days was like a lot. Like I remember that they were talking about.
Although they only lost, the first one was to the Giants. They lost 20-19, so it wasn't like a crazy lopsided, victory on that
Yeah.
one. And then the
Well,
next,
but they had a backup quarterback though. Like I mean, the Giants had Hofstadter was not their starting quarterback. That was like the backup guy. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty close.
that's true. And then we did the Redskins won in '92, and then Dallas beat them
He,
twice in a row.
yeah, and then that was obviously speaks for itself. Did you think that the Bills might have been overconfident that first one? Maybe they were. Maybe they were overthink. They took the Giants too lightly, and it kind
Yeah,
of came back to bite them. Because Parcells
it's-
seems to know how to get the least out of. I mean, the most out of the least, right? So
right, for sure. It's just an interesting,
yeah.
interesting,
But
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, like with the team this year, they did beat them, right? Like they beat them in the first meeting, but the
Right,
playoffs
but
are different.
in Buffalo too,
Right? Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
different.
yeah, it's
It's
different.
hard to go to Kansas
Let's
City and
see.
play them.
Yeah, no, you have a point though, because like I think it's one of those things like like you said in the playoffs, the teams are the team the big teams are the big teams until someone finally beats them, and this was true of the Patriots forever. Like you just they're the ones to beat until they're not, and I don't remember when they actually finally became when someone finally overtook them. I think it's just it might have even been when Brady left to go to Tampa Bay. I'm sure at that
Yeah,
point.
I mean,
Like,
pretty much. I mean, I think he won one not that long before that, whether the year before or 2 years before.
yeah, it was
Yeah, I think of Kansas City and Patriots very similar.
yeah.
Where like I didn't mind them so much early on, but then I started to really dislike them both because of too much winning. It was weird because like when I was in college, it was the year that they beat Philly, and so I had obviously been a Redskins fan all my life, but I found myself rooting for that Eagles team just because that city had been starved for a championship for so long at that point, and it was such an exciting story with McNabb and
Hmm.
and the whole city. So I found myself,
You would have felt that way even with their fans though, because their fans are really
oh,
obnoxious,
they're brutal, and then
right? Like,
later on they were very brutal to me, and then I don't think I'd feel
yeah.
that way anymore. But I did at the time, was my dad's always been a big proponent of rooting for your division, even when your team loses, because it means that you are in the best division if that team wins. And I don't, so like that's
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own different take on
right.
that, right?
Well,
Like,
also he's somebody that roots for New York, Philly, and Washington, so I don't know if I trust
I
it.
wouldn't see myself rooting for the Padres in the World Series, but
Yeah.
to each their own.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Like, but anyway, it's understandable. In his mind, it's win-win. Whoever wins, he'll root for the NFC in the Super Bowl. But I don't know if I'll get there if the Eagles win. It depends though. If the Eagles are playing Kansas City, I might be just so done with Kansas City. I
That'd be
wouldn't.
rough, though. Have to go
Yeah,
through that again. The
yeah. It's
Kelsey,
2 years ago. It wasn't even that long
I
ago.
know. I was just like, uh,
So yeah, at least not
yeah.
both Kelseys are in it this time, so that would be like a different storyline. But
So, but I guess Jason would still have a role in that because he's in the media now. So, like, they might still like do a thing about it, like, hey, his
oh,
old
yeah,
team's back in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know, but
yeah, I hope not. Hopefully, we'll make those very simple, and the Commanders win, and then they don't have to
right,
have that.
exactly. That would make it a lot
Yeah.
easier.
It'd be great if the Commanders and Buffalo both win, and we have neither of them, and so we have a true, fresh, start that neither team has been in it for so long.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, ABC, anybody but the Chiefs. Like,
Right.
whoever beats them, I'm gonna be happy. If it's gonna be Buffalo, awesome. If it's Washington or Philadelphia, but
Yeah.
if there's somebody else, if
It's
there's
tough
if
to
everybody, any of the other teams, though, that'd be great.
It's
So
just funny because I know that you are a Pittsburgh fan, in football, and so like it's funny that you have the in-state rivalry
yeah,
with the Eagles there, and so it's just they're so able. It's so funny. I was talking about this in the last segment. The Cowboys are rooting for the Commanders. Like they're not, it's just
are they
it's
really?
yeah, like the
Oh, because it's the Eagles. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
because it's the Eagles. They hate them
Makes
more
sense.
at this point. That rivalry, I think, is a bigger rivalry right now than the
They
old
have probably had more meaningful games against one another over the years too. Like
yeah,
if you look long term, like all the way back, like
right.
Every decade they've had battles, I remember. Like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Although I wonder if we keep being, I'm happy we swept them. I know that it did, or no, we didn't sweep them. I'm sorry. We lost at home to them as one of our only two home losses. So I'm happy that we ended up winning that last game, even if it didn't really matter all that much. But I'm happy we still did it anyway because
Yeah.
I hate losing to them.
Yeah. Well, it's an exciting weekend, right? Like I feel like you probably could see any of the four teams winning their respective games, right? Like I actually feel pretty good about that. I mean, and that's a good thing for the NFL because it means that there's a lot of good, it's a very competitive sport. Um, I'm just hoping it's not the chalk because that, like I said, it's just like we've already seen it. We don't need to see it again. I'm good. I would be fine with Eagles versus Bills, but really the Commanders versus the Bills would be a fun one because think about all the fresh blood involved in that. Bills haven't been to a Super Bowl forever. Your guys haven't been in the Super Bowl forever too, so it's kind of the same idea from both sides. So you love to see it, you know.
Crazy that it could be a rematch of the last time the Commanders.
Right, yeah. Well, in the Commanders' case, absolutely. The Bills had a couple more trips to the Super Bowl after that, but interestingly, really nothing since then, right? Because that was like they had that 4-year run in Bupkis after that, like
Right.
so, you know.
And they've never won the Super Bowl.
No, they have not won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's the biggest story of all if they can get that far. Um,
Do you think
and
that between I know it's kind of weird to play this game now. Who do you think would have had a better chance against Kansas City, assuming that they don't have a case of fumble and dropped itis with the in the regards to Baltimore, Baltimore or
mm,
Buffalo? In some ways, I think Buffalo might match up better
I
than
agree with that, yeah. Because
than
I've already seen them like put them up on the ropes in certain cases. Like even in the playoffs that one year, they had the game won, and then that stupid defense where they just gave up like two plays to give him enough yards to tie the game on a field goal. Like what the heck was that? Like terrible defense. So they've been right there. I probably would lean Buffalo just from that. Plus, they're also more experienced against them. I don't think I remember the Ravens playing them as many times. I mean, they do play them a fair amount,
played them a
but
couple of times in the last couple of
yeah, a couple times. I think I would give them a shot, but definitely I feel just a little bit stronger for Buffalo in that same game.
yeah.
Uh,
We'll see if
yeah,
they
you never know. I mean, like I said, the Chiefs haven't been playing that well anyway. So like, it's just like I certainly wouldn't be that surprised if the Ravens had just shut them down completely, and then Derrick Henry just ran all over him. Like I could certainly see that too. So there's definitely a way for them to beat him too. It had that been the matchup. So you never know.
yeah, for sure. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about tonight before we start to wind down and
No,
find?
I think, like I said, you all were great tonight. Like you really tapped on a lot of different scenarios. I'm just fired up. I just think it's been a good playoffs this year. Like I mean, all four games had at least some amount of juice in them in the divisional round, and that's rare. So it was a really, really good weekend, and I'm looking forward to more of the same next week.
I actually thought that last weekend was much better than Wild Card Weekend, which is not always the case. Sometimes
Oh,
I feel like Wild
absolutely.
Card Weekend is better than the divisional round. Some of those games, and so I did not feel that way
It
this.
might be that way for a bit though. You know why I think that? Because this new wildcard format is not good. There's too much distance between the 1 and the 7.
Mhm.
And because there's only one team getting a bye, you actually have like that 2-7 matchup, which is just I just don't think it's ever going to be good. And it does seem to create more disparities between the teams that are matched up. So I'm like, kind of worried about that format. I feel like they need to work either tweak it or I don't know. I mean, maybe just like expand it or something. But leaving it like that, I think you're kind of leading to more blowouts. The Steelers never had a chance in their game, by the way. I'm sure you already knew, you figured that too, because Baltimore just had their way with those guys. The Steelers had one win against them. It was a really low scoring game, but the way that their season ended was awful. Like I just couldn't see that was just a negative vicious circle that they could not get out of. And I just had nothing in me that felt like they were going to turn that around within a week. So not surprisingly, Baltimore just killed them. I'm like, it is what it is. Like you can only do so much when you have when a beat up, washed up Russell Wilson as your quarterback. I mean, he just doesn't have it anymore. So I don't know what's next. I assume that Tomlin's going to survive that, but who knows at this point.
I feel
It's
like they're
been
gonna keep with him. I feel like they would have already moved on. I feel like they
right.
would
I think they'd already
have
gotten rid of him by now. Yeah.
yeah. I just feel like you don't want to be the last person.
Not his fault. They don't have the horses. Like they don't have their offense stinks. Even if they had a better quarterback, who are they going to throw to? Like I think Pickens is really like their best guy. They don't really run the ball that well. They just don't scare you on offense right now. They need some help on that too. They need a better line.
So is Fields
Um,
not the guy, you don't think?
wait, who? I'm sorry.
Backup quarterback. Just
Oh, Fields.
yeah.
Fields is all right. Like I mean, he's all right. I mean, he was better. I liked him more than Russ for sure. I thought they were more stable, but he's still not that great. I think they're gonna have to probably have to work on drafting the next guy, which they should have done years ago. But they're still committed to extending Ben's career. It's like, in hindsight, it was not a good move. They should have just let him walk and try his chances with another team, and then try to groom the next quarterback, right? But nothing you can do about it now. So I do think that if they brought Fields back, it would be a better year. Just because, like I said, he doesn't turn the ball over as much.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Why did they mid-season go away from it? Because
That's a good question. And I think that was Tomlin. I think so. Look, I've been a Tomlin guy. I've had my back and forth with them, but generally I've been a Tomlin guy. But I feel like that was his call. He tends to gravitate more towards veterans or at least more veteran players than even Fields was. I think that's why he just felt like because Russell Wilson had all these playoff appearances and Super Bowl berths and won a Super Bowl, he trusted that more. But honestly, he had nothing. Like these passes he threw were embarrassing. I just saw it firsthand. Like he can barely get the ball like 10 yards sometimes. Like it is brutal to watch him throw. It's just nuts to think that that could last more than a game or two. But
so weird
but
to me. 'Cause the one game I got to go to this year was the Commanders versus Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh won that game. But it was a very
yeah,
close game.
right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I forget that Justin Fields has been in the league 4 years already. I don't know why
Yeah.
I thought that he was. I knew he
Not
wasn't a
really
rookie.
rookie.
I didn't expect 4 years when I was looking it up right now. So,
Yeah.
um,
That flies, right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. He should be more
Yep.
developed than he has been. I was gonna say not enough years in the league, but at 4, it's a pretty good sample size at that point. Like,
Yeah, but I guess that's the summary of the Steelers. They have a lot of holes. They've got a lot of work to do to rebuild that team. And I think it's probably time for them to start looking into the draft in a year or two. And if it means the bottom falls out next year, then that's what you got to do. But, you know, the greatest teams in the NFL in the playoffs have built it from the ground up. And specifically, they've really gotten it done with their line. You look at Philadelphia, they got a really good offensive line. And the Lions have had really good support players too. Like, that's what it takes to get back to the top. So I think that's where the Steelers must look towards, and plus, get a better quarterback. So, what's interesting? Sorry to jump in on this again, but um, there are probably going to be some choices in the offseason, right? Like, kind of curious to see what available options there are in the offseason.
yeah.
But
It'd be interesting off season for a lot of teams. I mean, I know that we've got a ton of cap room, and finally a team that people would want to come play for, and maybe even take a discount to be a part of,
yeah,
versus like trying to just get a paycheck just from the owner, right? Like Albert Haynesworth did for years, and I will never forget, right? So, and
right,
that I mean that's a good example, but it's not the only example. I mean, it happens so much in the previous regime that people just took a paycheck, and now I feel like people are going to really want to play and be inspired by Jaden Daniels, and so that's going to be exciting. That I just couldn't believe it. I mean, our there was a story told by a reporter earlier today. I was watching a live stream, Candy Waller, and she said that she asked the new, um, people, the GM, his thoughts on what the expectations were for this season before the season started. He was like, "Oh, I'm looking towards the future, but I think we could get to the NFC Championship this year." He's like, "This year?" He's like, "Yeah." And she thought, thought nothing much of it, like that's kind of, everyone wants that, right? But for that to actually come true, if that, that's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really have much time to clean house, and really with new coach and stuff, it takes usually a couple of years to like get out the old and get in the new. So CP3 said this last week, and it's a really good shout. We got to give Ron Rivera a lot of credit for changing the culture. Before Dan Quinn came in, he was able to get rid of a lot of the bad people involved in the team and be able to turn over the players that weren't being successful, so that way that they could come in this year, make moves, but be successful right off the gate. Where I feel like
Yeah,
they
I
had some
think I think
great,
Jaden Daniels single-handedly made that rebuild go a lot faster than
yeah,
it would have
no doubt.
otherwise, right?
But
Yeah,
still good coaching, put into place. They had added, I think it's like 28 new players of 52. So I mean, it was a major roster turnover
yeah, yeah,
beyond just him, right? So
yeah.
he is obviously the engine that makes it all go. There's no doubt about it. And why a lot of people earlier were thinking that he should have MVP consideration for this year, for votes. Like not maybe win it, but
Did
like should
they vote on that yet? Like, have they announced it? Have they announced the
haven't
MVP?
announced it yet. So it'd be interesting to
Probably
see.
going to be Lamar or
Right. But I bet he gets a
maybe.
couple of votes. It wouldn't be surprising with the amount of comebacks and last minute ones. I don't think he'll
I
win.
would think it. I mean, yeah, I honestly don't have an idea there. I would, if you just ask me, I would take Daniels just because, like, seriously, like he went from 4 wins to like 12. Like, come on, like that's an amazing turnaround. So,
And 5 of those were because of him in the fourth
yeah,
quarter
absolutely.
or overtime. And
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, but you're right about the other thing too. Like, I think they've actually improved in a lot of different positions. Like also like the running game is a little better, and Dan Quinn does a pretty good job as coaching young teams. You're right about that. And um he
putting
was
the
kind
right
of a mess
coordinator.
with Atlanta, but generally speaking, he's pretty good with like bringing teams into the light, right? Like I think that he just done a great job of like bringing these guys, getting them prepared and motivated for every game. He's definitely a solid coach.
Yeah, I think he should be up for one of the people up for coach of the year.
Yep.
In the sense that like for me, it wasn't he puts coordinators in place and lets them work,
Yeah.
right? He's not, but he's still the main motivation for the team to bring it all together, which is what
Yep.
you need at this level. Like, I don't, sort of gone are the days of like coaches being both a defensive coordinator and a head coach, or an offensive coordinator and a head coach, right? I just don't know if that works in the speed of today's game. There's just so many things to manage, and it's just almost easier to get a guru of that specific thing in place. And so that seems where it's going, right? And I love what Cliff Kingsbury has brought to the team. Just
Yeah, I gotta get him credit there too. Yeah, because like we know that he's a fool as a decision maker, but as an offensive coordinator, he's pretty solid.
the
And
quarterback whisperer. Just be able to,
yeah,
bring him along, not give him the full playbook to begin with, but just sort of build it up. And one thing that we talked about in week 1, and I have not really brought it up again, Jaden Daniels is using new technology. He's using
mhm.
this virtual reality set, and it's really interesting because he did it at LSU, and he told the team that that's what he was using. And the team, right when they drafted him, bought that same software. And it's not cheap stuff. It's thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And it's all
Oh,
been constructed.
it is the second most valuable franchise in the NFL, if I'm
Right. Yeah,
remembering correctly.
I
To
agree.
be fair,
Although they did just spend a lot of money to sell, so
yeah,
but at the same time, to invest in this new technology before it's widely used, right? It's a
mhm,
risk, right? And clearly it's paid off because there
yeah,
were weeks where he was hurt with his rib injury, and he was clearly still getting reps in the machine, but not physical reps because his mind was so there the second he came back, and there was barely a hiccup, right? And
yeah.
so I would not be surprised if this is the future of the NFL, that all the other teams are going to start to adapt technology
Oh,
like,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
um,
Copycat league, right? They always,
right.
when you find a new thing that everybody jumps on it. You know, they always say, and this is true of every sport, you know, at every level, from high school to the pros. You don't win these games by and large on the field that day. You win the games in between the 2 weeks. It's your preparation, it's the things you do, it's the people you draft, it's the people you put together, your game plan, it's scouting the other team. And it's stuff like this, the technology you use to get ahead of the game. And so all that put together, I mean, I'm not going to pull a Jerry Krause and say organizations win championships. I'm not going that far, but you know what I mean. Like there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes, and I think these are the little things that add up to wins as you go along.
Just
So
not having the distractions, right? So like
yeah,
even
it's a
in
very
the
good point.
best years in 2012 and all that sort of stuff, there was so much bullshit going around the team with the owner and all the other things.
Yeah,
And it was so distracting because they had to ask players about their opinions on it. And they couldn't just focus on the game, right? And so
right.
just to be able to remove that out of the equation has been sort of like this huge elephant been lifted in the room, right? And it gives them this opportunity to be great, and it's
Yeah,
just exciting to see, yeah, how they take this opportunity and how they move forward with it. And uh, it's an exciting time, and it's an exciting. Yeah, it's interesting that you were talking about copycat league and how people will adapt to all these new technologies and new things. But for me, there's just it'll be interesting to see how where they go from here and whether they're not. And I wanted to ask you a question. Bye weeks, do we think that it really hurt the teams that did have the bye week, right? I know it didn't hurt Kansas City, but they're kind of used to it. But the Lions, right? They had 2 weeks to get ready, but there's all these rumors around
Mm.
their assistant coaches going to other
That's a
teams.
good question.
Do you
Yeah.
think that
I
their
don't-
focus was fully there for 2 weeks, and or did they
Um,
fall off?
I think they would have had that pressure anyway, because even if it had only been like a week between those two games rather than 2 weeks, I mean, this is happening all year. It wasn't the thing about the coordinators that I mean that there were rumors about that in like November. Like
I mean,
there's definitely a lot of
he
talk
interviewed
about.
for the job last year, so I think it
Yeah.
was like there was never,
So there was pressure to win in a huge way because it's between that and then any potential moves to adjust to the salary cap and any other transactions. There might be some players leaving. Jared Goff's a year older. There's a lot of factors that go into that. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Because you felt more and more like this was the year. This is the year they needed to win because some of these players are going to leave. Some of these coordinators are going to leave, and they had everything set up. They had home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. So it's like this was it. Like this is their best chance. You're not going to have a better chance. You're not going to have a better setup. Um, the Eagles, I mean, the Eagles, obviously are a very solid team this year, but you were going to get them in your building. I mean, that was big. So really, the only thing in your way was this rookie quarterback in a team that had no real history in recent memory of doing anything in the playoffs. So to think that you go from that to sitting at home for the next round, like that's just wild.
Oh yeah, their fans are just in mourning. Like
Yeah.
just like because they put up billboards on every street pretty much with a different player on it. And like can imagine driving through that town now and just looking at all those billboards, knowing all these missed
Oof,
opportunities. It's like
that's gonna hurt.
that is not good. I'm not hurting right now. The damn Penguins are up 4-1 over the Kings. I know we just beat.
Well, that would probably be the Kings. I think that would be the Kings' only the third home loss of the year. So actually, kind of just shows you how good they've been at home lately.
Yeah, that's wild to me. Like
But it happens, I guess. It happens.
well, Pittsburgh's probably pissed because we laid the hurt on them just a couple of days ago. So
Oh, really.
we
Yeah.
so that was fun because that was on the same day. You have to understand the Caps beat the Penguins and we went to the NFC Championship on the same day. It's so crazy for me as a
Yeah.
sports fan. Like I just never, because of course the Penguins aren't the same team that they were, but they're still pretty good, clearly. And
Yeah, I haven't really caught up with them lately. I know they're not like great, but they're not bad, right? They're just kind of like in the middle.
Who, the Penguins?
Yeah. Those are the
Yeah,
main ones.
they're sort of middling, I think.
Yeah.
The Caps are the top number one team in the NHL.
But that's the thing. I don't think it has the Lions. I don't think it has as much to do with the amount of time, the amount of idle time. It was just the sin. It was just the situation. Like even if they didn't have that extra week, I think they would have had all that pressure going into that game regardless. Which is why I liked, which I thought Washington would have a chance at this, because they're loose. They have nothing to lose. Like they're going to be all back next year. They're young, like they already exceeded their expectations for the year. Whereas Detroit, wow, like everybody thought they had a real, they thought they should have made the run last year too. So it's like they really had high expectations to make a Super Bowl this year. And they don't have to play Kansas City in their conference on their way to get into the Super Bowl. So they really did have an easier path. And yeah, I mean, just you would think, but they know that, right? They feel that. They feel like the weight
That's why
of
when the
decades and
fans got
decades.
all nervous, you could
Right.
feel the energy drop out in that stadium. And then our
Yeah.
fans that were there started to make
And,
noise, and that's tough.
yeah, and not only that, but like the pressure of Jared Goff. Oh, is Jared Goff gonna come beat Jared Goff again? Is he gonna blow it again? Is he gonna go back to being Cinderella again or being a pumpkin? And
You were saying
unfortunately, he met
what
that fate a lot. Is the
was
point.
there was some talk about from their media, because I love watching
Yeah.
the opponent's media after a loss. Just curious what they say, whether they're giving us credit or themselves, like we screwed this up. And it's just interesting to hear their thoughts that they just don't think there's anyone better out there than Jared Goff, like that would have been readily available, like who they should go with.
I think they stay with him though because like he's been money in the regular season. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, what else can you do? Like,
Kind of stuck there. To answer your Penguins question, they have 46 points. They find themselves in eighth in the wild card race, but in the second wild card spot is 51 points. So they're only 5 points back. So it's all very close in the East, right?
yeah,
So
interesting stuff. Interesting
yeah,
stuff.
but
But yeah, that's the gist of it. I mean, it's a bummer that the Lions couldn't at least make a Super Bowl with that group because they're really fun. Um, but the flip side of it is you get another really cool story and a really young team and a team that has equally been starved for any kind of championship. To be fair, the Washington team when it was over the years have a bunch of championships. Like they had one three in the 80s, I think one in the 90s we just talked about.
yeah.
So
Guys, I actually have what's really kind of cool over here, if you can see
yeah.
there, an old jacket that's prior to the early 90s. So it only has two patches on the side that has the two 80s championships that was given to me by a season ticket holder that I used to share season tickets with.
How much do you think that would be worth today?
I don't know, probably a lot, right?
Yeah,
It's like it's a very old stuff
yeah.
up in my man cave here to
Yeah,
sell.
I mean the team has a lot of proud history, and I've known the fans to be really, really great fans forever. So I'm like, they've been waiting for this for a long time. The point of it is just all to say is like they've been stuck, even though they've had the championships before. It's still quite a drought, and I
There's a
remember.
whole generation of fans that have never even been a part of that,
Well, let me tell you, as a Steeler fan, I know that very well. My early years as a fan, I never saw any of that. I mean, when I was started rooting for the team, their last champ title was 1979. So like that. So 1979 and like 2000, like that's a long time. Like that's a long time. And then they went a few more years after that, and it did seem like were they a cursed team at one point? You can just wondered if they were ever going to get over the hump. And then when they got Roethlisberger, a lot of that changed. The confidence, the swagger came back, and the Super Bowls came back too for a little bit. So it's kind of interesting to see that a team that with a franchise history that goes a long time without winning one. I can go back a little earlier, and like the Packers were that too. Like they had the Lombardi trophies, but they did nothing from 1968 until 96 when they finally got the first one with Favre, right? So it's like you just never know. Like you have to cherish the championships when you get them because you just never know when the next one comes.
Yes. So we're gonna wrap it up here, I think, because it's already 12:40 at night here on the
Quick
East.
question.
Yes.
I don't think I got your prediction on any of these games. Do you see them making the Super Bowl? What do you think?
I don't see it, but I also didn't see
Oh,
us
okay.
beating the Lions either. I mean, I thought that there was a path to it, and I still think there is. So I'm not like so pessimistic about it. And I think the line is probably pretty accurate. I don't necessarily think we're gonna get blown out, but I mean, the problem with the Eagles, we've gotten blown out so many times in the last 20 years by them that like I always get very nervous playing that team specifically.
Mhm.
And I do think it'll either be very close or they will blow us out. I don't think there's a scenario where we blow them out, right? So.
Right.
I don't see a repeat of the Lions, for example, with a 2 touchdown.
Okay.
Situation.
Well, good luck to them.
Thank you.
I mean, it didn't take much effort to root against anybody from Philadelphia.
Exactly. Exactly.
So hopefully they play.
Real
We'll
quickly,
see.
I do want to give a couple of shout outs of a couple of things before we go. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Davey here for being a part of the
Thank you.
last segment with us. So you can go check him out as Davey is eating a sandwich over on Twitch. If you're on any of the other platforms, also you can search for that on other platforms like YouTube and get old clips and things like that over there as well. The link is in chat for that. Davey, do you have any fun guests coming on your show soon?
Absolutely. We have a really, really talented musician joining us tomorrow. Dallas Arlo Music will be our guest. Where's the Zoom? I lost the Zoom. But and then I'm going to be playing Portal 2 with Panda on Thursday. And then during Super Bowl week, we're going to have an epic trivia show. We are going to have like over 10 people on the show. And we're going to divide them into teams and we're going to see who can win the trivia contest. We're going to get to buzz in and everything. It's going to be a really, really, really
All sports trivia, or is it different topics?
not just regular trivia, like just sports might be part of it. Like there'll be a sports category in there, but it's gonna be it's gonna be a huge contest. I'm really excited about it. Our friends, for Dane and friends and I are organizing this, and we're gonna have a lot of cool friends of ours, mutual friends too, like that will be contestants on this special trivia. That's later though. That's like February 6th. So don't
Yeah.
miss it. It's gonna be good.
Champ in chat's asking, do you ever watch wrestling?
I don't, but I have so many friends that do. So sometimes I figure I keep up with it with osmosis.
Yes, yeah. He's saying he's waiting to be on the Davies Eating a Sandwich show to talk wrestling at some point.
Oh, we should do that. We should do that. I mean, I've done wrestling shows. See,
Yeah.
what I do with wrestling is like I let I let our pals drive the bus on it, and I'm always good to just like get read up on what's happening and set up the topic. So, champ, I'm with you on that. We'll talk. We'll talk. It'll be really fun.
That would be a really cool show. Yeah, I love that Davey does a wide variety of different programming, including the fire relief. I'll do that command one more time for anybody that is able to go. And oh, Charlie Mack joined chat. He said
Hey,
wrestling.
Charlie.
He's very excited about that. Charlie, we were just talking about wrestling, so you can go back in the VOD and check that out if you missed it live. And Champ says, "Hit me up, Davey, and we'll talk about it." So that'll be fun.
Let's do it.
Look forward to the trivia and the musical guest tomorrow for the sandwich show. And yeah, it's always a fun time. It's been a little while since we've had you on the show here, so I appreciate you for joining in on such a momentous, biggest victory Monday that we've ever had.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we can, this District of Champions, hopefully we can maybe add another line to that. That would be fantastic. So new
Nice.
merch is up. If anyone missed it, we did a merch show on Saturday where we actually designed the merch together as a chat for getting to the NFC Championship. And so that is live up there. It's actually our best selling merch so far on the new merch store. So thank you everyone for people who already copped that merch. They can go check it out there. It's actually our cheapest shirt, hoodie, mug, and sticker. It's $10 off on all of those compared to the other ones on the store. As a thank you to everyone for supporting the show and the platform. So and Champ said he copped some merch. Can't wait for it to get here. Yeah, I'm excited
Nice.
for that. And so was really fun doing the last 2 Saturdays. We did pop-up shows to celebrate wins for the Capitals and for the football team that won that week. So it was Baltimore 2 weeks ago, and the Commanders this past Saturday. We do have the latest scuba video up on YouTube. That one just went live yesterday. It will be live on Facebook tomorrow, and then I'm going to break it up into a couple of reels that'll come out later this week for that one. That's part 8. I return to the wreck of the Oro Verde, our most documented wreck And I've now done, it's my 5th time documenting the same place, which is kind of cool to see how the topography changes over time, the animals, and it's a wreck of a wreck, so the wreck keeps moving, especially with storms, and it pushes debris in different ways, which is kind of interesting to see it over time. And I did about a 12-minute documentary of it this time. There's also a paradise reef that's attached to it. It has beautiful fish formations, and I actually swim through schools of fish and with schools of fish to really awesome music from Dan Tremblay. So definitely go check that one out on YouTube, and it'll be on other platforms later this week. And I have one more video coming. That'll be the 9th video in that series. And again, the link, it's bit.ly/Robbie G_scuba. The Robbie, the G, and the scuba all start with a capital letter. But you can also check it out on YouTube under Robbie Gross, where you can also, we are live streaming right now this show as well. So thank you everyone for tuning in and being a part of it. Yeah, Charlie Mack, if you do like wrestling, Joe, check out this.
No spots.
And you can go check it out over there. I'm gonna take a look before we raid out to figure out where we're gonna send this chat tonight. Between gaming, art, and music, Davey, which category would you like to pick?
I'm gonna let you drive the bus on this one. I'm kind of undecided on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me, 'cause I have a person for each, but that's fine. I
Yeah, for
will.
whatever.
I really like my good friend Potchfad. I don't know if I've ever rated him. Potchfad, here's your description. He loves people. Come be people. Hang out and draw with me. I draw graffiti art. So he does art streams. I believe he's doing a watch along right now, just chatting. But I'd love to share some love with him. So I'm going to raid over to him. We got the raid and the sub raid.
Oh,
Thank
thank you for
everyone.
having me on. Like, I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, yeah, Davey, I really appreciate it. We'll definitely, if we somehow make it to the Super Bowl, we'll just have to get you back on for sure. And yeah, I hope that you have a great week. I hope that the fires calm down and things get better over there on your neck of the woods. I'm happy to see
Thank
that
you.
you're safe and sound, and wishing the best for everybody that is affected in that. And people can still donate if they have the opportunity. I really appreciate that. And Davey, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, that's good. Bye, everybody.
All right, with that, we're gonna raid out. Thank you everyone for listening to the audio podcast, or on Facebook, or on Twitch, or on Kick. I really appreciate it. Grab a raid call. We're gonna go over to Potchfad, and appreciate everyone for tuning in. And we'll talk to you guys next week, hopefully with one more victory Monday. And thank you again so much for everybody, and we'll talk to you guys